at 9 minutes, your gold lane option, if you are behind, it doesn't, you can't really fight, you know, and that's something that you have to deal with. That's why, again, I think you go with the Lunox here, but you have great burst, but you're not able to, you know, actually get those Chaos Bolts off because you're being either slowed down, CC'd, you have the times journey to work through. Like, there's so many things that kind of fall into place here for Mongolia.
Well, speaking of fall into place, the focus on early game was in the XP lane. Aizen was the one Kazakhstan has eyes on, and most of them were utilizing the fact that, oh, that's where they're going for and trying to delay something out. But the problem is, you said that the carry needs more time. This is a late game lineup for Kazakhstan. You have the Lunox, you have the carry, and with the Uranus being present, with just being in the EXP lane, we just leave it on the lane and like, hey, just you guys do your thing. We have a laning objective to follow. And that was one thing that they wanted to really capitalize on.
And that's the thing too, like you see even Nori has pretty much the 3 items he needs for the most part, right? You've got the Crozen Scythe, you have the DHS, you have the Golden Staff, but this was the moment where they start to shine. You know, around that, the time the Lords start to come up, that's where your marksmen for the most part start to shine. But again, you just were kind of outgunned, literally, right, by Bebe X here on that Beatrix. Bebe X, something to deal with. So I'm not sure if, you know, the game plan here for Kazakhstan might be, well, maybe they would do better with the Beatrix. Again, carry is just one of those heroes traditionally that you need quite a bit of time. It's very similar even to a Claude, right? Like when we've talked about Claude and kind of the weaknesses there is, yeah, you're kind of just, your job is to farm up, right, for the most part, for all these gold lane marksmen, and then you hope to get your Blazing Duet off, right? Where carry is, it works really well to kind of eat through the health bars of these durable heroes and whatnot, but still, if you can't even get to that part of the game, then you know, how do you solve that issue?
Yeah, you need gas for that.
Yeah.
Completely have a gas for carry and as well as for Lunox. Man, he has been doing a great deal of using the Brilliance in and out, but the magic damage is just not enough to even hold off Mongol, to even have a good peel in their own, because the defenses wasn't really that in the state of like being destroyed right on time, because they were holding all of the river throughout the objectives that they wanted to trade up against Kazakhstan. But most of the times that most of their heroes fell a bit short on how they wanted to pull it through.
Well, like I said too, the other part of this whole combination was the fact that early game, you know, Forbid already had those early kills, and this is why I was saying, I think priority-wise, that is not only one of the safest heroes that you can go for the majority of teams, but it just, if you get the, you know, if you get the early lead going, it works out in favor for you. So, you know, with all that said, game 1 is done. We are going to get prepped for game 2. We're going to take a short break though, so sit tight. We'll be back after this.
In the previous guide, we learned the basics of the new emblem system. This time, we'll take a closer look at the core talents from the Mage, Assassin, Marksman, and Support emblems. Core talent unlocked with the Mage emblem. By upgrading the Mage emblem, you can unlock Lethal Ignition. The new Lethal Ignition now deals adaptive damage, making it a great option for any hero with heavy-hitting combos. With the change to adaptive damage, heroes with high physical damage can now use this talent to enhance their damage, such as Saber and Natalia. Saber's first skill and ultimate combo can easily trigger the effect from Lethal Ignition, dealing much more damage to enemy heroes. Core talent unlocked with the Assassin emblem. By upgrading the Assassin emblem, you can unlock Killing Spree. Now that the talent is no longer reserved for the Assassin emblem, it becomes a good choice for any hero who can perform chain kills. Heroes with magic damage like Karina and Julian can now take this talent as well. Karina's ultimate resets after she kills an enemy hero. When equipped with Killing Spree, she will recover HP from each kill, allowing her to stay healthy and go after more kills. Core talent unlocked with the Marksman emblem. By upgrading the Marksman emblem, you can unlock Weakness Finder. The new Weakness Finder talent is no longer reserved for ranged heroes. It works well for heroes with high attack speed, as it can improve their laning and slowing abilities. A hero like Minzathar can take Weakness Finder because his second skill increases the attack speed of his basic attacks. When combined with equipment that can provide more attack speed, he can reliably trigger the slow effect to prevent enemies from escaping. Core talent unlocked with the support emblem. By upgrading the support emblem, you can unlock Focusing Mark. The Focusing Mark talent works the same as before. It allows support heroes to increase the damage their teammates can deal to the target enemy. Kaj's ultimate can be used to drag key enemies to his team. When equipped with Focusing Mark, the ultimate will also increase the damage the target takes, allowing Kaj's team to quickly burst down the helpless target. Choose the core talent based on the strengths of each hero to maximize their effectiveness. We look forward to seeing players discover new ways to play their favorite heroes on their way to becoming a legend.
Welcome back from our quick break here as the teams get situated for Game 2. Again, Game 1 just finished between Mongolia and Kazakhstan, and we saw a great matchup for Mongolia fans because it was a strong one in favor for them. It was 12 minutes. Right?
Strong start.
Very fast.
Yeah, very fast, very quick as well. And we've seen ambush plays from the back line, from also how they wanted to control even the jump from Beatrix. You've seen the part, maybe it's just 5 minutes into the game, that we've seen how Mongolia would wanted to penetrate the backline of Beatrix. It was a complete wraparound on how they wanted to sustain those kinds of abilities.
Yeah.
And we're seeing Mongolia here as looking at those mistakes, capitalizing on those kinds of moments that could have things in their own favor, which is deadly at this point.
Yeah, it's deadly, and I think, again, you have to think quickly here, right? Kazakhstan has to come up with something quick to deal with what just happened from Game 1. Again, this is not unfamiliar territory for them. Very similar situation happened to them on day 1 where they kind of had to adjust super fast, and they ended up reverse sweeping their opponent. So this time, the best thing that they can do, and I think, draft-wise, it was relatively... it was okay. They spent a lot of their bans towards the jungle, though, and they kind of dealt with that. So I'm not sure if they decide to switch things up here or not, if they really want to kind of give some of those jungle picks away. I'm not sure if we, see the Ling again or something exactly, but they could work around that.
Yeah. Speaking of working things around, draft might be changed. Draft could be stolen. Power picks might be in favor of Kazakhstan if they have a way of prioritizing that jungle pick. We've seen them use different kinds of options. We've seen them Lancelot. We've seen them do a lot of metas right in the new emblem system that we're trying to even discover and what could give them more of the edge. But looking back on how their games go, they've used as well, they've been consistent with the Lancelot. They have been consistent as well with the Fredrin. So
yeah.
They could have an option to be in the utility. So a lot of ways that they can even channel those mistakes that they did from game number 1 could happen, because right now they're on first pick. So there's a lot of things that they can prioritize as of this point.
Okay, as we jump into this draft for game number 2, already, again, Kazakhstan on the blue. First ban, they're already going to go ahead and take out the Fanny, right? Take out the Fanny there. Response, I expect this still to be somewhat, the, I guess, comfort picks, right, that they're going to focus on from Mongolia. The Selena there, we'll see what they follow up with. Uranus, great ban. They go ahead and take that out of the picture. Don't want to deal with that anymore, even though, again, it was in the, in terms of the Uranus pick being on the other hands, it's just kind of annoying to deal with. I feel like Kazakh wants to more go with the Lapu. I feel like that's still more of his kind of play style unless it's banned out.
Yeah, they're good at that.
Yeah, he wasn't really able to do, like I said, what he wanted to on the Uranus the previous game. So already Mongolia will take out that Ling. Again, they might narrow down those jungle options.
Well, now they have taken out the Fanny, taken out the Ling. No assassins that might show up. They might force Kazakhstan to use the Lancelot again, but in the terms of getting their first pick, it has been present. The assassin has always been their choice of priority in having that side. But now it has been open, and for the first time, we're seeing Novaria, and they take it.
Well, at least on the live stream, right? I mean, it could have. We don't have the stat breakdown here for all the back of house games, but maybe it was picked up previously. But at least on the live stream, we're seeing Novaria pop up here, which we'll see. Does Kazakhstan actually decide to take the YSS for themselves and go with that combination?
Could be.
The response from Mongolia, they take Faramis, they take Bane. I'm wondering too, is that going in the jungle? We might see a better game from Bane.
Game from Bane. Love the wordplay.
Yeah.
But this, Kazakhstan being straight with purple colors. You have the Eve. Talk about how AoE and Vision could work well with this kind of setup. And they have the Fredrin. They're going back to the Fredrin we've seen and witnessed in their other matches. Now, they banned out the Kata since there's still no roam yet for the Novaria. But in some cases, the Novaria could be the roam.
Yeah, well, in this case, that's where we're headed, right? I mean, Novaria, Rome, Eve in the mid lane, and I think it's still, again, it works great. We've seen it in the hands of some of the best players in the world around the world, right? And they've made it work, and it kind of, in a way, it's still annoying to deal with because you're constantly kind of looking out, dodging orbs being blasted at you. Of course, Vision as well that you get, and then you pair it up well with an Eve. And, you know, it's tough to deal with. So already in these first 3 picks, I would say that Kazakhstan has a great draft so far. In the Fredrin, right, just assuming it's going in the jungle, that's probably one of the safest things you can do here, at least to set yourself up to get your momentum going in your favor, right? The biggest thing is you just cannot get pretty much closed out early game. That you gotta maintain it, keep it together for Kazakhstan, and transition, have a better transition into the mid game.
Speaking of keeping it together, we all know how Novaria could be much more effective on the later stage of the game.
Yeah,
they're doing the same route early game. So with this setup, they might go. There might be a way of like getting in with the vision that there was lacking in game number 1 with the aid of the Eve and a Novaria as well. You have the Astral Echo, you have the Astral Recall to use more of those chances. And where is Mongolia's head? Because with the presence of the Faramis and even the Bane, now we're seeing 2 possible, well, marksmans, but obviously this might go either the XP lane or even the jungle. It's still a question though that we can leave on the table.
the Bane.
Yeah.
I think they might just kind of plant that in the jungle. Again, it's going to be, it would be Bane versus Fredrin, right? I mean, that could be something, but statistically speaking, we haven't seen many great jungle Bane games.
Not yet.
Not yet. Right? Again, this is the dark horse team we're talking about in the tournament.
Anything
So
can happen.
if they decide to go that might be one of the better performances we see. We don't know yet exactly if it is going there, right? Unless they park it in the XP lane. But right now, as we get through these last bans for the second phase, Arlot's taken out. Like you mentioned, the Claude earlier, you know, focusing down on multiple lanes this time, not just those jungle options. So their last bans here, we'll see what's still going to be. The Lapu Lapu.
Oh, yeah.
The homework has been done.
Yeah.
Like we were saying before the draft, Lapu Lapu would have been great in the hands of Kazakh here. He had massive performances in his reverse sweep towards KSA on day 1. And we saw that, right? This single-handedly, sometimes stunning 2-3 people with the Bravest Fighter. And then, of course, even that Lord Steal that he had was amazing to see. So good reads here from both teams. Lolita was the last ban from Kazakhstan. They don't want to deal with those setups coming through. Let's see what Mongolia is thinking here. Again, we don't know just yet, where the ban is going. And, of course, if even, you know, the Faramis here wants to be parked in the mid, we have also seen Rome Faramis plays.
Yeah, being present. So with the ban of the Lolita, we've seen them ban the Kufr in most of their games. This could also be a setup that they might steal the Terizla.
It's open.
Yeah, for Kazakhstan, because they still don't have an XP lane hero yet. But for Mongolia, a different one.
It's flashy.
You have
This
one
is flashy.
flashy, slippery hero on the XP lane, and then we have a Benedetta. Well, we have good debut picks today, next, so it just keeps on going.
This is what I like, though, right? I mean, again, we're in the playoffs here, day number 1. There's a lot of variation going, and Kazakhstan's going with that Clint again.
Yeah.
You know, you remember how it went before.
Oh yeah.
It was not not the best.
Yeah, it was not a good result for the Clint in the first game that they had with KSA. And with this being present, they need to have this security that how will the backline be of a safe space for the Clint. because most of the time, if you're up against either a Bane or even a Benedetta, a lot of ways that you can be ambushed from time to time. So how will you get a good answer? But with that, there is no way that they're going with this U-Zone tank. This might be a Novaria Roam.
Though that's what I was saying earlier, OSX. You know, I was like, this is going to be Novaria Roam because we've seen other players around the world play it, right? And it pairs well with an Eve, right? So that's kind of expected here. Now, the Clint, like I said, this is kind of like redemption for that, because the first time we saw Clint pop up, it struggled, and it struggled a lot with mobility. And if you look across from you, there's a ton of options here for Mongolia to displace you. And now that they've locked in the Kufra, it gets a little scarier, right? Because the set potential, not being able to know where he's going to be charging up, revenging and raging into people, into your team, right? Of course, too. I'm wondering if Eisen actually how he's going to play this Benedetta. Like, what is his setup going to be for the emblems? What spell is he going to be using? Is he going to go with the Petrify, right? We've seen a couple different versions of Benedetta as well. And then again, too, the fact that you have Bane now just in the hands of a team that a lot of people have been waiting to see. So there's a lot on the line here for both. Again, it is still a double elimination, so we'll have to see if it ends up to going to a Game 3 in this best of 3.
Yeah, a good way of answering the XP lane problem there, but Kazakhstan, they're pulling something off the books on how they went with the days here. But it's a good thing. They have, again, a fail-safe for each match that they've done. Selena wasn't good in their first one that they've tried, and it was a better approach in the second or third time around. Let's see how they go here. As we see more of their progress, it's game number 2. Let's check out the emblems.
Okay, like I was saying, I was going to be really interested. Eisen is running the Petrify, so he's got that. He's also just got the same, same emblem setup that he used previously on the Dairoth, and I think this is going to
work.
Yeah.
And looking back on how they're looking to see the XP lane matchup, you have a Yuzong, you have one thing that we needed to look for this kind of lineup, because it's the first time we're about to see Novaria roam, and for the XP lane, we have Yuzong as well. So this is a good answer on how they were losing in game number 1, because the back line, that was one thing that was totally open in the opposing side. So with this hero present, they could completely go in the other way around. Have that more aggressive way that they always do in their own matches. So who knows, this might be their way of having a redemption in their own choices in the draft.
Man, I was so surprised there with, what I was going to say there. My thing fell out of my pocket, but good on you. But we're jumping back into the game here, and that's what I was saying, right? The fact that Eisen, he's got this setup on Benedetta, very similar to the way he played Dairoth, but this is a little bit different in terms of execution, right? In the way that he's going to be utilizing just the Electro Final Blow combination with the Petrify is something Kazakhstan wants to be able to control. And the biggest thing for him, or for the team from Kazakhstan, is Nori, right? I'm surprised, once again, the kind of trend that he's had, at least in the gold lane, he's got to be taken care of, right? And for the most part, allow for the game to get to that later part of the stage. Don't end before the 15-minute mark if you can. Get to where you need. And I think having Novaria as well alongside the Eve is helpful to get there.
A lot.
Oh, skirmishes already, though, breaking out.
Already a knock-up, but now Aleem is now targeting Ethan. Flicker out from Forbid. Now that's the Astral Echo connected, but Aleem secures first blood. No way to regen from that, but that is Kazakhstan stepping on the right moment in the early game kill.
Great Appraiser's Wrath there, right? They knew that was a moment for them to go ahead and grab an early kill, exactly what Kazakhstan needs here to kind of transition throughout the course of the game. Best thing, too, as long as, Kazakh just kind of maintains this lane and keeps Eisen under control, the Yuzhong is going to be paying dividends for their lineup. Hold on, a lot of focus here, though.
A jump, Ethan trying to check if someone is in the bush. Now Aleem
Kashi
going front into Zara. That's 3, trying to hold him off. Look at that, trying to slow them down with the Void Crystal, but Red secures the kill. No Kufra for Mongolia. Now that's Black Dragon form. Circling around and trying to check on who's going to be the next target here. Turtle setup is open. Kazakhstan might want to take this.
Yeah, they're in a good position to go ahead and do it. Kazakh just trying to force Eisen back here. He might try to show face, but it's a little risky. He does have Forbid there as well.
Electro Final Blow, but who's going to make the cut here for the first tournament? This is going to be Forbid, taking the first objective. Mongolia takes the first turtle of this game, and they continue on with their own momentum.
Okay, they get the first turtle, right? But still, they're going to have to work around. Kazakhstan has that little bit of a lead. They've been doing really well. Aleem, too, out for his own blood on this Fredrin. You know, he's been playing really aggressively, and that's great. He's able to find those positions that he's looking for, too. And like I said, Nori going to want to be as careful as he can on this Clint. You only have a couple options defensively for you. And really, you're going to shine, especially in that mid to late game. So you're counting on, you know, Kashi to help you out here, Red, of course. And I think that's why you really want to keep this lane under control here. And Aleem doing great, like I said, on this Fredrin, starting things up.
Astral Recall now connecting. That's one way of getting into the vision. Now Ethan trying to hold on and take Aleem for this side, but Nori secures the kill. That is the first one for the Clint, countering back the possible ambush that Mongolia is setting up.
Yeehaw, right? Every time I see Clint, I just can't help.
Yeehaw.
Go back to my roots.
Being trapped in RWM. Yeehaw it is. And that's one way of poking and peeling out that Beatrix. You got me there.
Yeah, you know, that's the great thing. Oh, they're still going to focus on Nori. But, you know, Bebe X does not want to commit to that because you just don't want that to turn into a kill, right? You might as well just take the safe route here. Still, I like what Kazakhstan is doing this game. You know, if they can continue and keep this up, they're the ones setting the pace here. That's going to be great. Nori getting an early kill is also amazing for them, right? You just got to be able to stay alive, keep things together, because now you can see the shift of focus from Mongolia, right? They're like, all right, we're going for Nori. We know he's only got that flicker available. There's also the turtle up here on this side of the map, so positioning is key here for both of these teams. Ooh. They're going to spot him out.
Step into a trap there. Kashi falls down from two members of Mongolia. Now Hell breaks loose the side of Kazakhstan, but Ethan there being preyed upon. That Yuzong, now he's not in a great position to take this turtle. Now Aleem secures this objective for Kazakhstan. Kashi really didn't know somebody was there from Mongolia. Now lagging at the vision, capitalizing on those windows of mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, between both the teams, they're making the best out of most of the situations, right? Given the circumstances, too. Like you mentioned, Kashi had no clue that was going to be there. But still, the idea was right. Again, you really want to focus on Nori, allowing him to get the items that he needs. As we take a look at the items, you can see it, right? He's already got that endless battle. He's going to be working on his next one here. At the time he gets his second, and, you know, maybe even the third, that's when he's really going to start to hurt. But still, biggest challenge for Nori is positioning, right? And off to a great start with the 2 kills. Might be able to grab some more here. BOD already being picked up by Bebe as well as they try to defend here in the Tier 1.
Ethan could be trapped, now forcing out a regen out from Forbid. This is Kazakhstan looking for an opportunity to take down 2. Regen is up from Forbid using the ultimate. Now Aizen as well. Positioning-wise, this is one way that they needed to look back on how they want to secure their backline. In game number 1, that was one of their things that they don't want to commit over and over again. And Aizen has been great in eyeing that objective or even the vision for his team.
Yeah, Ethan going to charge up here. Still to focus on Nori. Should be just fine. Taking a shot, though. Nothing else going to commit of that. But you got to give your hats off to Kazakhstan, man. This part of the game, which they struggled with the previous one, they're doing relatively well here, right? They've got themselves a small lead. They're still putting pressure, even on Aizen, not allowing him to just kind of do his thing. And you've got Mongolia now kind of just straggling, looking for any of these kills that they can find. And it's really hard because even in the mid lane, having this Novaria, having this Eve, they're not going to be in a position where you can go and try to find a kill in the mid lane. You have to find it either in the gold or the XP, and that's why you see so much focus there, really trying to just kind of stymie or stop Nori from building up too early on. So now that this third turtle of the game is up here, like I said, Kazakhstan's in a great position. It looks like it's going to be a full force fight from both teams getting into this one.
Knocking back one, that is going to be the Yuzong of Kazakhstan now. It's going to be Chaos on to Mongolia. Now they're trying to have an angle, but 2 members being caught up. That is Bebex down. Aleem takes the kill now. That with the trade, objective to kills happening all over. Action pack taking down Forbid as well. A trade of 3-0. Kazakhstan still winning, But the turtle again as well is a great way of contesting that against Mongolia.
Yeah, that's where you ask, was it worth it? That one was not worth, right? You got the turtle, but 3 of your members died, and the snowball is now in favor. The momentum is now in the favor, continuing down for Kazakhstan. As they look to get more space to work with, you can see them putting pressure on the top side as well.
Look at that.
Wow.
They both fall together.
If you go, I go. Right? Both just duking it out there in the top lane, both junglers, as they were trying to get that tier 1-2 or put pressure at least there. But right now, with both junglers down, you can just expect, right? They want to get that first turret down, because again, if you look across the board, neither team has a turret just yet, and they're all leading into that first lord, where it is crucial, especially in the mid lane.
Yeah, Kazakh off-cap kill. Nori goes down, securing the kill. Bebek still doing his thing. Now Aizen and Kazakh here. Chayasen still connecting onto him. Wow, Mongolia looking forward with the trades. You're losing one member, but they still cope up in gaining that cross-map objective play they're trying to do against Kazakhstan.
Yeah, it's crazy too. They're finding these moments, and really that lead that was being built by Kazakhstan is slowly but surely slipping away. Hold on, baby.
Kazakh being trapped in 3, the knock-up from the deadly catch. Now,
wow,
not letting it go. That
the crab
claw cannon hurt that
it's
much.
Deadly.
It's deadly as well.
That just slayed a dragon.
It took just one
Bane
bullet,
jungle is good,
but not with a crab claw cannon. One hit, a flying dragon goes down.
Oh man, I couldn't picture that. And then a crab claw cannon comes through.
One
but
hit.
Still, this is a lord going to the hands here for Kazakhstan, able to secure that. We'll see if there's the counter play here from Mongolia right now, though. They're going to have to deal with this.
Okay. Now it could hurt if they miss a chance. Your Lightning Truncheon onto Forbid. Eyeing on Sora here, trying to taunt members out of Mongolia, but the jump misses for Ethan. Now being taunt once again. Aizen still slipping through here. Alim is not letting him go. Astral Meteor will be an aid here, but Appraiser's Wrath. What a good poke and peel to Aizen, forcing him back to base.
This is great, right? Momentum for Kazakhstan here, looking to really take us to a game 3. Everything kind of falling in place for them. They've just got to hold it together, right? They are going to be able to march down the mid, but should be able to get that tier 2 down for the most part, right? As this lord is being worked on. We'll see, though, because clear speed is still going to be great. Also utilizing the deadliest catch if they want to. But right now, it should just be making quick work here. Still, though.
RWM trapping down Sora and as well as Ethan, slowing them down. Kazakh might eye on one member, but up top, Alim and Aizen once again. Appraiser's Wrath, almost low on HP. Electro Blow being used back in the base to heal. Kazakhstan pushing through. We have 3 waves pushing in 3 lanes right now. Mongolia needs to defend and get a good set.
Okay, they might get pressed in here. Again, it really depends how risky Kazakhstan wants to be. Turret after turret are going to fall, though, as Mongolia finds themselves with the backs against the wall into the base. Not sure if they want to commit to it, right? They still need some time. We should be able to get a look at the items here, too, because Nori is at the point where if you're looking at the damage, oh, he just picked up the Malefic Roar, too. So now that he has that, he should have about those 3, maybe even the 4 item on this Clint. And now it's time, right? This is the time for the Cowboy to shine.
Yeah, and speaking of the Cowboy, with the aid of the Astral Recall and the Astral Echo, your hitboxes are much more easier for you to use with all of the ultimates that you can have up against Mongolia.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. He needs a horse.
No, that would be too. There's only
too
one.
much.
Only Leo Mord has that. You can't give that to Clint.
Aizen as well. Kashi facing out of the map. Now Kazakh trying to retreat. But look at that flicker and jump combo around Ethan. You can't escape the wrath of Bebex from that moment on. Now the clapback will pull through the all-WM. Astral Echo will hold him slowly, but Nori secures the kill. Kazakhstan doing a clapback once again. A trade of 1-to-1. But down bottom, Alim with a push and still eyeing on Sara with that 1v1.
See, that's always the feels bad when you're a Kufa player, right? Like, you get the setups, you get the rage and revenge off, and then you're just kind of like walking.
Yeah.
And so if you get slowed, and especially with the meta now where there's usually, Ice Queen Wand is dealing crazy slow to you, especially in the hands of Eve, like you're just walking to your death.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate because that was a great set. They found a pick, but essentially, you know, the gold lead continues to build up here. Now just about 4,000. It's going to be another Lord too for Kazakhstan. So there doesn't seem to be an answer right now from Mongolia other than, guys, let's get back to base here. You know, and that's exactly what the body language of this Bane says. They gotta get ready to defend, and this is most likely going to be a situation where Kazakhstan just presses it, right? They're going to press into the situation, whether that's using a flicker, whether that's finding a setup with the Yuzhong into the Petrify.
Yep.
This is going to be tough for Mongolia to defend against.
Yeah, if you're up against a Novaria and it's 13 minutes, how will you even counter the vision that they're trying to get against you? You have the Astral Echo connecting. Most of the players right now are just trying to get a hand on where can they even stun or immobilize members of Mongolia. Aizen trying to jump in. Alim dropping down that HP but still sustaining that poke. Now Lord is showing up down bottom. The jump misses out. There goes the Black Dragon form. Who will be the target of Kazakh here? The Petrify is still open though. No bodies yet, not moving. Now Aizen still holding the way. Ethan as well being the first casualty of Kazakhstan. Now the base is finally gone. And that's game number 2. Talking about bouncing back in this best of 3. Kazakhstan saying hi to Mongolia.
Hi, man. I talked about this before. We got to the actual draft, and I said, Kazakhstan, if we learned anything from them on the live stream from day 1, it's that they can take a massive loss, learn and adjust from it. And look at it. Props to these guys. They're feeling good, right? And their coach, like we mentioned. And they're starting to get to that point where we saw them in day 1. It was a reverse sweep before. This one was a very strong showing from this team from Kazakhstan. So now, you know, Mongolia tasting their first, you know, first feel of defeat, at least in terms of a game here.
The first loss.
Yeah, they're going to have to find out what will work for them. And I feel like, too, even at the end there, I was kind of surprised because, you know, you have that Lord still there. I know we're going to see it later on in the highlights, but you still had that Lord there to take care of, and multiple members were up. But, yes, they were low, but they went back to the base, right? They went back to heal up. And it just ended up, the game ending. You know, you would have liked to see them kind of hang in there and try to fight it or something. But, unfortunately, too, I just think they just got outscaled at that point, you know, especially this time. Like I said, it was almost a redemption in a way because you have Clint once again in the hands of Nori.
Finally.
And having a great game after what we saw from the last one where his carry was doing okay, but just didn't get the time to shine, you know what I mean? So it was nice to see him get those early kills here, establish himself in the gold lane, and then he had that great transition throughout that mid-game.
Yeah, the Beatrix as well, Bebex, we got out the gold lane. And also to sum up the fact that they had good setups, but the reinforced, even the rotation wasn't even on point on how you would want to have that follow-up. And most of the times, you said you had the flicker, he had the combos as well, working out the rage and revenge. But once that is gone, with all of the AoE happening, that could be the end of their setup. Now looking back on how the game went in our replay, this is just how it went through from minute 1. Pointing out those Astral Echoes, Astral Recalls. The vision is just showing for Kazakhstan. Now looking at those windows that they can trap the roamer, that's one way of securing that they don't have a follow-up setup. Yes, you have a deadly catch from Sora, but it's not even enough to even cope up for those type of small mistakes.
Yeah, and I just think too, like Alim had an amazing game here, right? Even him making this decisive moment, this portion of the game, allowed Nori to get to the point where he needed to on this Clint, right? And it really was a team effort to get to that point and deal with a lot of this pressure that was put in the gold lane early on. And it was just a nice kind of basically orchestrated dance between these two teams for the most part, right? Until things just kind of snowballed in favor for Kazakhstan. But really, you got to say they adapted quickly, right? Even at the 7-minute mark, they already started building this little gold lead going. You know, 2K, this was the 1 versus 1 in the jungle, up in the top between the junglers. And then, you know, you continue to see this. And I feel like that's, again, This is the nice dragon that goes down from the Bane. But again, I think Novaria, especially as a roam, is something that teams always have to be wary of, right? You have to be careful of because of the fact that, yeah, you can see her there, you know, pretty much the advantage that you have to be able to go through these walls and things like that and scout things out, get the vision for your team, paired with someone like an Eve is very deadly.
Yeah. We talked about you can have only one, but not two.
Yeah.
But in this kind of draft, 2 purple heroes present.
I don't know if it's the color or, you know, just...
I think they're related at some point, maybe in a different galaxy. But
we're going to find the lore masters out there.
But in the draft, it's deadly for them to even have it present in game number 3. And we have our first tiebreaker for the playoffs, and Mongolia having its first loss. And this is Kazakhstan. But in the first day, they also had this moment, and this is just how they receipt. Again, the receipt of looking that, hey, we fall short on our heroes back then, but this is how they cope up. They adjust quickly on the fly, and looking back on how the game number 1 went, let's see the stats on how it went through with their own momentum for this one. So it has been Mongolia and Kazakhstan in the early game trading most of the time because they need vision as well. They're trying to utilize Kufr on where is the Novaria headed, where is Destroy headed, and that is what we're trying to do. And most of the part is they were lacking also the damage that they needed with Kazakhstan.
So that's crazy too, because like just looking at the items, right? Again, Aleem did great things for the team here early on and just transitioned really well. Even looking at Nori, right? I thought he had 4 items when he was already kind of like popping off, but again, it's only I didn't realize it was even 14 minutes. You know, it was at the 14-minute mark.
13 to 39.
Yeah, he picked up the Malefic Roar, and even before that, he just had the endless battle on the BOD, you know? So, like, the damage was coming through, but also just, like I said, the interaction, the relationship between those 2 heroes with the Novaria and the Eve, very devastating, especially when you're dealing with both of those Ice Queen wands, right? It's kind of annoying to get away, and just naturally how much slow even Eve has. So, you know, across the board, like I said, even for Ethan, on the Kufra, it was very difficult for him to find the sets that he wanted and then have that follow-up there because it wasn't there the way that they wanted it to be. So, you know, unfortunately too, we really didn't get to see much from the Benedetta. So unfortunately for Aizen, he's got to kind of recollect and recalibrate for the XP lane matchup in the next match.
Recalibrate. That's the word.
Yep.
Change something. We haven't seen Terizla being banned.
Yeah, he hasn't.
It was
surprised.
Fully open.
Yeah, he had a massive
he
game
was there.
before.
Yeah, it was there, and surprisingly, they were not trying to steal, not even banning, and it just shows that Kazakhstan is prepared for how many heroes that they might end up with, and who knows, maybe in game number 3 we might see it.
I think if there's a time for it, OSX, it's game 3, right, where they might possibly the way that the draft is going to go, the chest of draft basically. They might get their hands on the YSS and that Novaria combo. They might get the Terizla, you know, things that work out for them. Because now that it comes down to basically this best of 1 between the 2, you know, to see who goes and moves forward and who has to go down to that lower match later on, it's just you don't want to leave anything on the table, right? Because either way, after you get through this, your next match later on, if you do lose this, is obviously going to be quite tiring as well, because later on we have Philippines and Cambodia. So whoever loses that, obviously, all these basically these 4 teams left is going to be great matches ahead of us. And I think already the fact that, again, you had Dark Horse Mongolia for a lot of people, that was their mindset, right? And now, what about Kazakhstan? Like, this already speaks volumes for them because of what they did for Mongolia here. So, you know, we can only speculate so much about Game 3. We are going to take a short break, though, while the players get prepped up here. So sit with us. We're going to go on a break. We'll be back after this.
One purpose. One dream. One rhythm. One step closer to glory. They say history remembers the winner. So who will be the ones writing the future? The halls of power call for their kings. The ones who won't back down. The ones who believed. The ones who knew that over 100 nations can't be wrong. Join the fight between August 24th and September 3rd as Yash becomes the world's esports capital.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you're just joining us, again, I'm Naisu, joined here with OSX, and we are in the middle of the first match for the playoffs here. It's between Kazakhstan and Mongolia, and we have a Game 3 on our hands because it's been pretty much Game 1. If you missed it, it was one-sided. Game 2, Kazakhstan readjusted, came out swinging themselves, and now we're at Game 3. Does Kazakhstan reverse sweep like they did back what we saw on day 1?
Woo.
They're on the right course here, OSX.
They're truly in the right path. Few steps to glory here, and how Kazakhstan is managing to adjust with everything that they have right now in their own books is there something to look at that, hey, we need to really get a hang of getting through the threats of how Mongolia went in without being or not seeing their own way of progress throughout the IESF. But now, looking back on how their choices are going through this game, is one thing that we're trying to see here. If will they go for the comfort picks again, or will they go for the way that they were trying to win this? Because in the draft that we're about to see right now, things could go differently because we've seen the Clint once again. Selena hasn't been shown, well, hasn't been picked, or even Terizla. So this is the feeling that if you're on the edge in the best of 3, the rage and even that fuels you in a best of 1 could come out. And this is one thing we're expecting in this kind of matchup. Kazakhstan and Mongolia, I think the teams are ready now for the draft, and this is game number 3.
Yeah, Game 3 upon us. We'll see in just a second as they get lined up for this draft, things situated. I'm wondering, too, you know, with the little break that we had, exactly how the adjustments are. You know, what adjustments take place here between them. We did get word teams should be ready for the draft in just a second here as things get settled in. But, yeah, that's what I got to say, man, is we saw kind of different strategies now from Game 1 and Game 2 and exactly how it would change for Game 3. Like, it's not a do or die situation. Again, stakes, right? You've already qualified for Romania. You have that. You are now fighting for place in the prize pool, if you will, right?
Of course.
And so, you know, as these players kind of adjust from this, again, you want that placement into that upper bracket, into the grand final, and you hope that you're in that position, right, if you're one of these teams here. So I think if you're holding on to something, whether you're Mongolia, whether you're Kazakhstan, this is the time to bring it out, right? And again, the dark horse of the tournament, Mongolia, tasting their first defeat in terms of a game here, right, against Kazakhstan. What a team to do that, and what a statement, like I said, for Kazakhstan here.
Yeah. Also the ban with the Novaria. Kazakhstan being present on the first pick in game number 3, they don't want that threat. So they might be okay having the Eve on Kazakhstan side, but not having the Novaria once again. It was a big of a threat. Vision, you have the poke, and you have that ticking clock that might end up bad from the mid into late stages of the game. So securing the fact that they might go in par with the Vision and the pokes, okay, count that out. No more Eve as well.
Yeah, I think they were tired of that combination, man. That's why I was saying, like, that the relationship between those two heroes, the way that they interact and the way that they provide so much for your team, you might as well just take it out. You know, you might as well just not deal with it anymore, because in that case, even with Novaria and the Eve, like, if you get the information within the game that you need, it's so hard to actually get in position, right? And a lot of the times, that's kind of, again, what we saw with the Kufra being locked in from Mongolia the previous game. The information was already there, right? So how do you deal with that? Well, you ban them out, and their next ban for that first phase is going to be the Ling and Uranus, Diggy, Fanny on the other side. Let's see what the priority is going to be this time. Still a lot on the option. Why not? You know, what an amazing game we saw from Aleem on this Fredrin, just the previous one, really setting the pace. Honestly, it was him. It was Aleem that just kept things going from start to finish throughout that game. And Fredrin, I know some people might be like, man, I'm tired of seeing Fredrin. You know, we saw so much of him. Well, he's Fred for the reason. Like, he's the Chad of the land
MLBB,
of Dawn. Yeah, like there's a reason for that, right? So that's locked in for priority. Let's see what the answer from Mongolia is going to be. Again, they're drafting themselves. They got their own notes, and they do this completely on their own. You know, whereas Kazakhstan, we met the coach. You know, we saw him from day one and heard him through the interview here.
Yeah, and the priority onto the Fredrin shows that they're adjusting to not use any assassin heroes that we've saw from them, but things now are changing for Mongolia. Now onto the XP, they have the Arl, they have the Faramis, they need that composition of sustain. You have a way to break momentums, you have the way to break team fights, but going back on the lineup of Kazakhstan with the Farsa back in their first phase, this is going a great route. So they have Burst, they have AoE now, you have Eve has been taken out, but with this point, they might do also the choice of getting their hands on their own marksman. But no,
they go the burst route. You know, you talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Francis. You know, you brought
it's
this
okay,
out.
JC.
Yeah, you brought this out. The Kadita, the Farsa combo. You're like, this might be the answer for a lot of those sustainability compositions, those durable compositions. You know, and it does work great. You've got to be able to get that execution down, because if you're missing those setups, especially with the Kadita. And sometimes it comes down to just getting the knockups. You know, you necessarily don't need to get a kill with the rough waves. Obviously, it's great if you do. But if you at least just get the setups, potential there, and then it's followed up with a feathered airstrike, that's massive damage, right, in your favor. So right now, Mongolia, they've got to have something to deal with that. Now that we're in that second phase here of the bans, we'll see really what they want to narrow down. Obviously, too, gold lane options are going to be open here. So we might see them lean towards taking some of those out, you know, whether it's the Beatrix, whether they decide to leave it open even. It's really up to Mongolia and what they want to play around with. But I do like the options they've already locked in for the first phase.
Yeah, Lapu-Lapu, since they have the Arlot on their side, but the side of the Kazakhs.
Well, that's just pure respect, too, you know.
Purely respecting the comfort or strong picks of Kazakhstan. A great way of eyeing that they might open something out of that team. But with this kind of way of doing it, Kazakhstan is also trying to take down the Lolita, because there's no tank yet for Mongolia, although you have a heavy spin with you, and also a breaking point in team fights, which is the final slash. So with this point, they're looking towards banning either a marksman for Kazakhstan in their last ban, because we haven't seen a choice here. But no, it's all purely respect for the EXP. I love the fact that I'm wrong on what's happening in the draft, because this is a change, quick change and progress that we're seeing.
It's a change indeed, and also I just think, you know, again, massive respects across the board between both of these teams here. They've learned a lot about each other just in these first 2 days, you know, now that we're on day 3 here for the tournament. And, you know, this is also, once again, a lot of the preview of kind of just naturally how the competitive scene has changed for MLBB with everything that's changed in the game, right? And even down to the emblems, like I said, we kind of explore the emblems a little bit between game to game, and you can see how it changes some of the playstyle, right? The last ban, though, going to be Grok here. So focusing on those roam options as well. And it would be interesting too. What if it happens that this Arlot is again placed in maybe the roam, not so necessarily the XP lane, or even the Faramis, right? Those are two flexible heroes that have been placed either in one of those other lanes. Faramis goes either mid roam can. Arlot either goes XP lane, has been in the roam. So this is where we find out, right? What is the game plan for Mongolia here, especially to deal with the burst potential from already the Kadita and the Farsa. Like, Kadita and Farsa is nearly, I would say in its own right, it's a deadly variation of Novaria and Eve.
Yeah.
But just Novaria and Eve, like they give you so much more vision to work with. Whereas
Vision,
like
escape,
Farsa,
evade.
Farsa and
Automatic
Kadita,
burst.
it's just burst potential. And there it is, locking in the gold lane here, the Brody from Mongolia.
Okay, so a better way of securing those skills with the torn apart memory, knowing that there's a lot of ways of escaping ganks for the side of Kazakhstan. You have the wings by wings, you have the rough waves to go out or even trick out of the box out of Mongolia. So this is one way of securing those kinds of mistakes that they can't commit. But with this kind of lineup, this is strong comfort picks of Kazakhstan being banned against them in all of the matches. So now Marksman could be their only choice here. Beatrix is still open.
Yeah.
Up against the Brody.
But it's the carry.
But it's a carry. They're going back, and you have your Esmeralda again, Mr. JC.
Well, I mean, it's not mine. You know, I don't play Esmeralda.
Well, you've been wishing for that.
I've been wishing for Esmeralda in the gold lane, you know, but now we're gonna have to see her in the XP lane. So I was hoping, but that's here we go.
Wow, a debut, 3 games in a row. Mongolia,
Yeah,
keeps on doing it.
I was wondering when it was gonna happen. OSX, right? When we get to see,
2.
yeah, I was wondering when we would get to see the Estes pop up, because again, we were already. You know, we already got to see the Florent. We already got to see how this sustained lineup has developed over the course of the new meta, the new emblems. Now I'm really interested to see how crazy does the healing get? You know, how crazy does that get to the point when you have an Estes on your side? And it's a preview. So finally we get to see this. And if it's, you know, if it's a little crazy, if it's a little nutty,
It is.
you might have to have some of the right tools to handle that. Is the burst, is the Kadita and the Farsa that we've been talking about enough to handle it? Or we have to wait and find out.
We have Fardita. 2
Fardita.
Yeah, Fardita.
Okay.
2 burst
That's what we're
heroes
calling it?
present in Kazakhstan. How will the damage go with Mongolia here? Because you have Sustain, you have Faramis. That wasn't even a good game from game number 2. But will the emblems suffice what they're going up against here, Kazakhstan?
Yeah, I love this too, right? And this is what I was talking about in terms of the emblem. So already, right, with Ethan, he does have that folksy mark. He's got the little bit of speed too, life drain here. So things look pretty good. And on the other side, you know, you have a lot of just agility and movement speed, some cooldown reduction, plus the 2 tenacities. So, you know, in terms of what they really want to accomplish here, like I said, the Fardita combo, if you will, OSX, they're going to be looking for as many openings as they can to get the numbers advantage, especially when they have the ultimates available to them. And, you know, in terms of Mongolia, they might be really looking to set up for using the final slash, right? Eisen's final slash will be crucial for them. He's got some of that cooldown reduction to help him with that too. And still, you have a couple tools, right? You got the Stampede, you've got the lockdown with the heavy spin, and now you have a final slash. So if they can't find sets, I don't know what's happening.
Kazakh could be in trouble here. 3 members securing the first blood. Eisen secures that one for Mongolia. Meanwhile, down bottom, Blessing on the Moon Goddess on to 2 members trying to secure this grab coin. Look at that, Rough Waves trying to poke and pull out Bebex out his turret.
Bebex.
Bebex or Bebex.
Yeah, it's
whatever goes.
Going to be very important for Bebex here to have a good time in the gold lane. And I feel like also this is kind of like the redemption arc for Nori from the game 1. You know, he wants to have a better time in this carry. And he's got to feel confident, again, with what he did the previous game, man. He had a great game on the Clint. So if they're able to take us to a longer game, even if it is that 14-minute mark, that's still a lot better where he can shine. So now First Turtle is going to be up here as they both fight on.
Who's going to get the first objective of this game? Will it be Kazakhstan? Will it be Mongolia? Now fight is breaking through. Kashi secures the turtle, but Aleem is not getting his eyes off of Eisen. Now Hell continues to show and break loose here. Ethan taking down Kashi. A trade keeps on happening, but the sustain. Look at that. Mongolia still going through. Red with the wings to wings, escaping the possible wrath. But Nori being trapped there, but that is the domain of the goddess, securing that kill. And Mongolia showing force 2 minutes in.
Man, that's crazy. Those 2 kills went to Ethan, right? What a debut for Estes, at least for this tournament. We're wondering, how's it going to play out? And now, you know, now that you have those 2 early kills here, it'll be interesting to see how he builds into that with that lead, how much of this sustain also kind of profits for the team right now. So if you're Kazakhstan, you know, even after that, yeah, you got the turtle, right? But essentially, you're still kind of working towards some of the ground you lost. Now, best thing they can do is, yes, find the pickoffs. That's your whole early game plan, you know? You have that Kadita available to you. You got to wait for that Petrify. Here it is.
Look at the burst
There
dropping
it
down
was.
onto Ethan. That was the feather
was it.
airstrike and the rough waves connecting onto you. How do you even sustain that one? But that is just Red and Kashi gaining control over the river.
Wow, I was saying, you know, before that even happened, I was saying that's what they need to do. But I was like, Kashi needs to wait for the Petrify. He didn't even have to. They found Ethan. So, you know, they're able to basically make up that ground they lost, exactly what I was saying. So already back to even Stevens here for both of these teams in Game 3. Still, Aleem, it's going to be up to him to kind of get that positioning, putting on that aggressive show once again on this Fredrin here. Nori going down early on, too, isn't the best case scenario in this redemption for him on the carry. But still, you can see Aleem.
Aleem going in strong and confident on 3 onto the turret. Look at the heavy spin. Trying
Wow.
to dodge it down, but is forbidding you to go back and heal up. He secured
hold
a
on.
kill. Feather airstrike, the 2-man knockup from that Rough Waves Kazakh. Now taking that one, but Azin, or Aizen rather, Kazakh is trying to hold on through. Final slash will connect 3 members onto Aizen. Still holding it through. Second turtle is up. Sora as well. Might be into a reinforcement state, but that is one. Still, great way of continued burst from Kazakhstan and Mongolia. Action keeps on brewing from this on.
Man, I know they're starting up the turtle here, but still, that was such a good setup. The interaction between the Stampede from Forbid and then the cutting off of the heavy spin from ZX Aura. So now, still going to be going for the turtle here.
Look at Aizen being trapped, evading. That is the gold altar being used by Mongolia. Now the burst and the rough waves will make it through the damage, but Ethan takes down Kashi. No more rough waves, no more burst, but Zara takes down Red.
Oh,
2
no.
mage heroes out of Kazakhstan. Now they're fighting through. They're trying to Ion Kazakh to fall down, but Aizen here, final flash connecting. Regen keeps on going, and Ethan is not letting him go. Mongolia takes another kill. That is 2 from Kazakhstan.
See, that is where it gets frustrating, right? You want to go somewhere, but Mongolia says no. And they have so many options to do that, whether it's the final slash, whether it's the Stampede, whether it's a huge panda spinning around with a heavy spin. Like, they are going to put you where they want you to be. So that's step 1 for Kazakhstan. How do we actually get this advantage in terms of space, in terms of positioning, and even these early fights, right? This is 6 minutes in, and slowly but surely Mongolia is building up that momentum once again. So the answer has to come through from Kazakhstan, and like I said, it's going to be up to Kashi and Red.
Rough waves that are up Red, securing the kill with that feather airstrike. 2 ultimates out from Kazakhstan. Now going back on the lanes, 1/3 has been taken out from their defense. But on this part, Star trying to secure its purple here. But onto the vision, man, Red and Kashi doing double time. Yes, they have been taken twice or even thrice. But vision here is just so much as well. They're buying more time for Nori here to even activate. It's just 6 minutes.
Yeah, time has to be on either of these sides, really, but right now it's just for Mongolia. And also, you know, with dealing with Ethan and that sustainability and everything else is kind of something, is another box basically that Kazakhstan has to check here. And you can see even Kashi getting in position.
Oh no, rough waves being used to escape defensively. Torn apart memory won't connect for that damage yet. The regen still showing for Mongolia, just pokes and peels all over, flushing out Kazakhstan to not be in this turtle take. 7 minutes in, now objective is now on their side. Forbid has spot on 3, but will they make the first move here?
Yeah, they're going to have to. Again, if you're Kazakhstan, you don't want to be the one to make the first move at this point, unless it's Kashi. Look at the damage.
Ooh. Man,
it's so much, right? And yes, he's going to get that back here with the way that the passive works and everything else, but still, like, the damage this early on is already kind of frightening, right, for Kazakhstan, and that's why you see them really trying to choose where can we go? Hold on, here it is.
Another one, another way of bursting
Great
down.
pick.
2 members, Forbid and Aizen down. The combo of Kashi and Red. Told you this was a deadly with the complete mage power. Both of them having 2 emblems present is just so deadly to answer for Mongolia. They are forced now to build at the Athena shield right away.
Yeah, they you know, running with that lethal ignition here. Hold on, lockdown though. Kashi will go down. They're still going to be going for more though.
Okay, will they go for an extended team fight? That is 3 member silence now with a follow-up. Look at that. Trying to burst out. Oh, Ethan with the damage, still holding it through with the regen. Blessing of the Moon God is now showing out, but the fellow airstrike will make it through the damage. Bebix as well.
Wow.
He won't be hidden from that bush, but that is the damage they were waiting for. Nori's down, 3 members out from Kazakhstan, a trade of 3-1. But they're holding on to this turret now. Aizen could be in trouble. Will he fall? But no, he's still doing it. Look at that, Aleem! Still sustaining 4 members. Appraiser's Rock will connect to 1. Final Slash. Still not gonna make the cut. He still lives!
The heal is just too much, and now Kashi trying to clean this up. It's still 1 versus 4. He'll fall as well. And there was so many moments there, OSX, where they were so close to dying, but the heals from Ethan are just too real.
Oh, speaking of being real, Final Slash will end the Red's life there, right under his own turret. Trying to get a kill here for Bid. Nori's present, but first tier turret is out for Kazakhstan. Now the First Lord is up for Mongolia to be taken.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and start it up. We take a look at the items here. They're already, like I said, building up. They've got that 4K gold lead. This is going to be a Lord in their hands too, Mongolia. This is what they did back in game 1, right? They found wins across the board, and then they transition to a Lord, and then they go in and they march down. So you got to see this catch up here. It's great that the Divine Glaive was just picked up by Kashi. Like I said, you have, that's kind of your winning moment for a lot of these fights, is allowing Kashi to find 1, if not 2 members, use the combination with the Rough Waves, the Petrify, get a win there. But, you know, this is what I was talking about, man. The sustain is too real. Look at that. Aizen going to be fine. They get them low once again with their Praiser's Wrath. He gets Final Slash towards the team and healed up again. And then even with Kashi coming through, still not able to find it. That is the strength of having this Estes here.
The complete definition of staying alive. Estes. Ethan. Now Kashi here might be in a surprise. Will the Rough Waves do it now? 4 members could be in trouble here. That is the magic damage burst. Forbid is taken down. The Kadita out of the picture. There's no follow-up from Red. Meanwhile up top, we'll still have Aleem pushing through the waves. But Mongolia has eyes on the base.
Okay, so the barriers do go down here, but still, yeah, Aleem planting himself up there. They might have their eyes still set on this bottom side here.
Torn apart member being used too early though.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of knew that they really wouldn't be able to pressure into that. Again, you know, you have the barriers there. They explode, they clear some of the minions, and then now, still, in terms of the space that they've worked with, again, they have 5 turrets now in their favor. They have a lot of room to move around, and if they want, they're still going to go ahead and get this tier 2 in the top side. And if it's up to Mongolia, they will actually press this situation. Like I was saying, OSX, they have a ton of tools to do what they want, to put Kazakhstan where they want, right? And that's something that they really have to watch out for. Here goes Kashi.
Speaking of watching out, heavy spin has been forced to use by Sora. Nori and Kashi was present, still holding through that ultimate.
Okay, let's find out exactly how they want to play around this. Final Slash going to come through.
Kashi falling down. Now they spotted 1 against Kazakhstan. Waves are pushing in. That's where the thing that you don't want to be in. Being out of the map and overseeing the part where you want to get vision, especially now that the lineup of Mongolia, they had the Athena shield by almost 10 minutes. And with a composition of Kazakhstan that has 2 burst mage heroes, that's what we need to do. And we'll just wait for the right moment, probably entering the late game where you can even sustain those burst damage.
Looking at this damage leaderboard, talking about damage here, Aleem is at the top. This guy has landed so many Appraiser's Wrath on multiple members, and it's just built up that damage department for him, right? But still, they got to be able to find out exactly how to deal with this. Yeah, you have some damage, you have some durability there, but your game plan is still the same. Allow Kashi to get a pick if he can, at least a knock-up, followed by Red, and then hopefully Nori gets to the point. This is the 13-minute mark almost, right? Get to the point on this carry where you can actually pop off, because that's what's been lacking so far in these fights is now the next Lord is going to be secured here. Mongolia prepping up for another march into the base. This one, though, will definitely result in some of those base turrets going down unless Kazakhstan can pull it through.
Yeah, 3 turrets left for Kazakhstan to defend. And who might lose this match would go to the lower bracket. It could have an underdog story depending on how they translate this match if they want to go through this again. But there is a push coming from Mongolia. You have the lore down bottom. They can still clear waves with this one. They have a Forza, they have a Kaz, they have a carry as well. But will the damage now be enough? Is he activated to bounce back against Mongolia?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is if you can, nearly all the members have that Athena shield, right? Other than Forbid. He's got the Cult Altar, so he probably doesn't feel like he needs it just yet. There's the charge in with the Lord. It's up to Kazakhstan here if they can defend this. They've got great high ground defense, but no pressure being put on just yet. Still in the mid lane, though, looking for another turret.
Alim, but look at Aizen, looking for his target right in the base of Kazakhstan. They're waiting for the right moment here to strike with 8-15 score. Now this is one opening that they wanted to do, breaking the last tier turret right in the middle, trying to poke out Sora as well. But will this be a way for them to defend? Look at that, trying to go in. Alim taunting 4, but Kashi right in the back. Look at that, rough waves now will be activated right in the burst. Will it make it through? Bemix takes down Alim. One member out for Kazakhstan now. Will it be the answer for Bemix? They're trying to evade. Look at that, torn apart memory connecting onto Nori. No marks for Kazakhstan to pull through. 4 members present. 4 members present for Mongolia. They have the waves to push through. Can they defend though? Red and Kashi still here, but is this enough to make it through the cut? But now Mongolia is trying to push in, taking down Kazakh. 1 more member down and 5 members wiped out in Kazakhstan, showing force. At this point, and even in the draft, we said that this could be mission impossible for Ethan. He says no for the lineup, and Mongolia wins in this one.
What a series. You can see it. They're feeling a sigh of relief too again. Drafted here by their own. There's Beba X. Again, they should be proud again. And at the same time, I gotta say, good for Kazakhstan to take the first game against the dark horse in the tournament, right? That should be a morale booster as well. But unfortunately, no, for them, they're gonna have to go down to that lower bracket. Again, it's a double elimination here. So Mongolia moves forward, and now I can't wait to find out, later, if it comes to fruition where, we heard Jamal from Cambodia say he wants that rematch against Mongolia.
Oh, yeah.
Or is it going to be the Philippines, and
That's 2 countries.
Yeah, and as dominant as the Philippines has been up to this point, what we just saw even with Mongolia, who had the same points, right? They had the same amount of points as the Philippines did. They got their first loss. A lot of people didn't know, how would this game 3 go? Right? And who's to say that in that matchup with Philippines and Cambodia, we aren't surprised as well. So hopefully Cambodia has learned a lot from their matches. We got the teams here shaking it out. Of course, the sportsmanship, very important here, but hats off to both of these teams.
Yeah. 2-1. The dark horse of IESF has taken a scratch out of this best of 3. Still standing tall. This is a good way of looking out for Kazakhstan that they can still make it through anything. Yes, they will fall down in the lower bracket.
Yeah,
but it's not the end of the line.
Yeah, it's not over for them, right? And I feel like even from game to game in this series, we saw a lot of improvements from them. Even from when we saw them back in day 1, how fast they adapted, how fast they changed here. And I'm actually interested later on, when we get to hear during hopefully that interview on how things kind of went for Mongolia, because my thing that I'm wondering too is if they, well, not if, now that they have again secured their spot to Romania, will they actually have someone in the back of them, of the players doing the drafting and everything else? Because it's kind of cool to see that. There's not too many teams, at this level that have to pretty much do the drafting and everything there, right? And you see the notebook out and everything else. There's some off the top of my head that I've seen before, but the execution here from Mongolia as they go through that draft, as they get these lineups that really shine for their play style, and as we take a look here at the replay from this game number 3, it was a great back and forth, right, for the most part. But then, like the course of the majority of the series, it was defining moments, usually that pulled through for Mongolia here.
Yeah. looking at the moments of the replay now. 2 minutes in, this is one way of sustaining the burst composition of Kazakhstan. We were trying to question the two sustained heroes, and it's still not the best way to go up against. Going on longer team fights, you have the Arlet, you're making time for Bibex to just get in and get all the items he needed. It was a great way of showing that we can still make it through the late game. Completely changing the tides that Kazakhstan has just started in the early game.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is the answer was there, OSX, and you talked about it, right? The fact that you have a Kadita and a Farsa and the burst potential, which we saw quite a few times actually. But my biggest thing here was all the tools that Mongolia had to displace Kazakhstan and, like I said, put them where they wanted to, right? You even mentioned it earlier, the final slash working so well for a lot of the moments throughout the game where it looked like Kazakhstan would be able to fight things out. They even got a couple of those knockups, but they had to get through the heal and then they had to get through the displacement, right? And even Aleem had a relatively good game on this Fredrin. He had a ton of damage because he was just landing Appraiser Wrath after Appraiser Wrath. But again, this is in a form, it's that famous word, it's ube, right? I mean, these guys are sticking together. They've got an Eztez. It's the ultimate bonding experience. And that's kind of what happened here. The tools were there, but just unfortunately, things kind of got out of hand too quickly for them. I feel like if this game went on a little bit longer, it's the same scenario where a carry is locked in and Nori this time, just like before in game one, was not able to get to that moment where carry really shines. And even if you do, you know, then how does it come down to that minute level, the detail level of these team fights?
Yeah. And 11 minutes in, they were trying to go with a wraparound with the base of Kazakhstan, but this is one way of just holding it through, right? But it was kind of like delaying the inevitable as well. But look at how they wanted to position themselves. They have waves going out, but how Bebex released that tournament member at the right moment when they had a good setup from Kazakhstan, the damage, or even the defense was even enough to call it. And they were just minions pushing all over, and that was the end for that match. Reverse sweep denied. Mongolia still going strong with this one.
Yeah, Mongolia, big threat here, I feel like, you know, so whoever ends up facing them after this next match ahead of us, they're going to have the work cut out for them, because it just seems like, too, that they have this dynamic way of playing. You know, their lineup just isn't one way, or their play style just isn't one way. They execute it about the same. You know, of course, all these teams out here have multiple kind of strategies and compositions they like to play around, but some are better than others, right? Some become their signature, right? And I feel like today, now that we've seen kind of this preview finally on the live stream here for a lot of you viewers out there in the world watching, now you have an idea of Mongolia, right, and how it's kind of settled in. And I think, too, that can be said for the majority of these teams, even Kazakhstan in a way, right? And as we take a look at the stats here and how things kind of broke down, again, this was almost a 15-minute game. Relatively, in terms of like damage, gold, it was pretty good, right? It was pretty close. Almost even. But then at the end there, Mongolia just kind of unleashed. And that's what the same thing that happened before when I was saying, you know, leading into that first Lord, they find multiple kills and kind of step on the gas from there. That's what happened here, right? Even looking at the items, it was a great game across the board for all of them. And this time I feel like with Azine, he really was able to utilize this hero compared to like the previous game, right, where his Benedetta just got like shut down. This time around, his R-Lot really proved to just help the team so much with the final slash, the way that was used. Not only that too, but even Ethan, just the healing, the sustain was kind of all he had to do. He had those early 2 kills for him, and then, you know, things just kind of fell into place. Forbid, another hero that worked really well was a Faramis in the hands of Forbid, a player that I feel like a lot of people need to pay attention to, right? The way that he works with his other members of the team, just the synergy is clear.
Yeah. Speaking of gaining focus on the details on how that match went, we've seen 4 Athena shields versus 2 Dominance Isis.
Yeah.
So with that, they were just waiting for the right moment in maybe 8 minutes of the game that they can build through that defensive damage and just drain everything out of Kazakhstan. It was a perfect combo. The Fardita, as we call it. Fardita, as we call it. It was amazing early game. But that was a window, like, if we don't maximize this right now, it could mean either the negative way in your late game, because they were just holding it through. And the same as what you said, the carry could be the walking winning condition for the damage there, but it was just not enough. When Mongolia saw the timing, like, we need to end this now.
Yeah.
Just keep on going until the base is just totally open for them to take. And that's one way of, like, utilizing those corners and windows. Like, that's how they take a grip back on the losing game that they had in game number 1 and 2.
Yeah, the adjustments, right? I mean, that's what both the teams kind of had to do. That's what we saw them do up to this point, and it worked well. I think, again, I'm really interested to see what is in store, again, moving forward for both of these teams. And also, still, even I like the fact that Brody was locked in because it worked pretty well. I don't, like, I feel like carry is... The stock on carry is running out, right? So Brody was still there. You noticed, too, at the end there, he kind of, like, flickered out, torn apart memory. So it worked well. But we are going to throw it back over to the stage to hear from our hosts and also the winning team, Mongolia.
حياكم الله جميعا ورجعنا لكم من جديد بعد ما شفنا المباراة الأخيرة أو الأولى بالنهائيات وشفنا انتصار منتخب منغوليا ضد كازاخستان. فعندنا بعض الأسئلة للاعب إيثن، حابين نسأله كيف شعوره بعد ما فاز في أول مواجهة بالنهائيات.
يعطيك العافية وجيه، طبعا كلامك جدا صحيح. And ladies and gentlemen, as Wajih just said right now, we are here right now with Ethan from Mongolia. First of all, congratulations. How do you feel winning this match?
Before the match starts, I feel really nervous, but now I feel really good, and I'm really proud of my team's performance today.
I'm sure everybody in Mongolia is proud right now of this achievement. فخر من منغوليا للرياض على الأداء الجميل اللي صار معنا في المباراة اللي طافت.
من حقهم يكونون فخورين على الأداء والمستوى اللي قدموه في هذه المباراة، ولكن عندي بعض الأسئلة بخصوص المباراة اللي شفناها قبل شوي. أول مباراة كانت لهم فازوا فيها، بعدين المباراة الثانية فازوا فيها منتخب كازاخستان، في النهاية فازوا في المباراة الأخيرة. فودنا نعرف إيش سبب خسارتهم في هذه المباراة وكيف قدروا يسترجعون حماسهم ويفوزون بالمباراة الأخيرة.
Everybody is wondering, especially what Wajih just said right now. So the first game you won, all good, beautiful, but the second game you lost against Kazakhstan. But then you had a comeback in the third game. So what happened in the second, and what did you do to change the results for you winning the match?
Yeah, about second game, we really choked in the draft, and my Hopra pick was really big mistake. But next game, we talk each other really good and make really good draft for us, and we win.
It's so important, right, with the draft, who to choose or not. الموضوع كله في الدرافت، بس اختيار صحيح في المباراة الصحيحة، ولا ايش رايك يا وجيه؟
أكيد عرفوا كيف إنهم يتصرفون، عرفوا كيف يغيرون استراتيجيتهم عشان ياخذون هذه المباراة. ولكن قبل لا نروح ناخذ بريك بسيط، حابين نسمع منه إذا بيقول كم كلمة للناس اللي جالسين يشجعونا بشكل عام في لغتهم.
بالضبط. So, anything you want to say back to your family and friends in Mongolia?
I just want to say all the fans who cheering us for the win, I just want to say thank you. And keep cheering us. We can do more. Yeah.
All right. Beautiful words, ladies and gentlemen, to all the fans of Mongolia. Keep cheering up. We'll see what's going to happen later on. And possibly you will have your seat road to Romania. Yash. Wajih, ايش رايك في اللي صاير؟
شفنا أول مباراة لهم في النهائيات في ربع النهائي، أكيد أنهم في المباريات الجاية طالما أنهم راحوا لنصف النهائي أكيد بيستعدون بشكل أفضل وأفضل من كذا. فأعزائي المشاهدين خلونا ناخذ بريك بسيط عشان نشوف المباراة الجاية اللي بتكون بين منتخبين أبدا ما هم سهلين.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a short break and we'll be back with more things happening right here at the Gamers 8 IESF Asian Championship. See you after the break.
أنا محمد، اسمي في اللعبة جد.
Hello guys, my name is Batold. My nickname is Etanaro.
My name is Muhammad, also known as Tarazan.
Hello everyone, my name is Mara and my IGN name is Chmar.
Hi, I'm Sajil Shariar, also known as Sarge.
Hello, my name is David Charles Cannon, also known as Flap TZ.
To competing in the IESF Championship, I feel so proud because I'm the representative of Cambodia, and feel like excited because I meet a lot of players from another country, from another region. They're so friendly and yeah, so I'm so like I'm so happy and enjoy to talking to them. And some players talk to me that they know me, and I'm also proud of myself because my name is Go Fate. You know what I mean, right? Yeah.
I feel grateful because I'm representing my country, Philippines, and I'm one closer to my dream to have the championship title.
It's a really huge event and it's a serious honor to come here, and the competitiveness is actually insane. Like, a lot of the teams are really strong and we've gotten a lot of respect and friendliness with the other teams as well.
شعوري وشعور تيمي ان خاصة مو قاعدين نمثل نفسنا بس، قاعدين نمثل المنتخب الامارات، فغير انه شعور عظيم جدا ان قدرنا ناخذ فرصة ان نمثل منتخب الامارات، واكيد احنا مبسوطين بالشيء هذا وفالنا التوفيق. صراحة شعور جميل جدا.
It's my first international LAN tournament and it feels really good.
It's an honor since we're the first team in Saudi Arabia that's selected for Mobile Legends. It's been a thrill so far. Every team is so good and I'm excited to face more teams.
One purpose, one dream, one rhythm, one step closer to glory. They say history remembers the winner. So who will be the ones writing the future? The halls of power call for their kings. The ones who won't back down. The ones who believed. The ones who knew that over 100 nations can't be wrong. Join the fight between August 24th and September 3rd as Yash becomes the world's esports capital.
اهلا وسهلا، حياكم الله جميعا اعزائنا الحضور ومشاهدينا الكرام، ورجعنا لكم بعد بريك بسيط في بطولة جيمر زيت من الاتحاد الدولي للرياضات الالكترونية الاسيوية، ورجعنا لكم جديد معاكم اخوكم وجيه واخوي ايضا براء في التقديم. ومثل ما شفنا في المباراة الماضية، شفنا منتخب منغوليا يقدرون انهم يفوزون بنتيجة 2-0 ضد كازاخستان، والان بتكون عندنا مباراة جدا قوية، الفائز بينهم بيقابل منغوليا والخسران بيقابل كازاخستان.
يعطيك العافية وجيه. You're absolutely right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome back to the Asian Championship happening right here in Riyadh, Gamers 8. As you mentioned, Wajih, a lot happened. Mongolia won 2-1 against Kazakhstan. So right now, what's going to happen? Whoever wins in this match will be facing Mongolia. Whoever loses will be facing Kazakhstan. So are we ready for the call-outs?
كلنا جاهزين أكيد أخوي براء على المباراة الجاية.
Let's go then, ladies and gentlemen, coming up right now in this coming match right here for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. We're going to start with a bang right now. Let's hear it for the Philippines.
تحية قوية لمنتخب فلبين. منتخب فلبين جاهز انه يتنافس في المباراة الثانية في النهائيات الكبيرة، ولكن حابين نتعرف على منتخب خصمهم. تحية قوية لمنتخب كمبوديا.
And let's see right now for Cambodia. Let's go. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be a crazy match happening right here. It's gonna be definitely one with exhilaration, strategy, and definitely a lot of skill. Let's see what's gonna happen here. Definitely. ولا وش رايك يا وجيه؟
أكيد انجمعت الآن منتخبين كلهم كبار في هذا المجال وما وصلوا النهائيات إلا فعلا قد هذا الشيء، وعندنا منتخب فلبين ضد كمبوديا في هذه المباراة. أكيد كلنا مستعدين نشوف الاستراتيجيات والتخطيطات اللي بتكون بينهم، ما راح نتوقع بشكل صحيح من اللي بيفوز ومن اللي بيخسر من قوة المباراة. ولكن أعزائي المشاهدين، قبل لا ندخل على المباراة خلونا نتفرج على بعض اللقطات والهايلايتس في هذه المواجهة، بعدها بنتوجه لإخواني المعلقين.
يعطيك العافية وجيه. And right now we're gonna have a short recap video telling you what just happened. So let's have a watch.
Thank you so much, Wajay and Abara. That is one way to recap on what happened with all of the matches right here in IESF. Once again, welcome back to the Caster's Desk. I'm OSX. I'm with Naisu, and this is the match that was been in the shadows, and now they're going in for another way of revealing themselves back. We've witnessed Mongolia, we've witnessed the teams who has been dominating off stream, but now it's Philippines versus Cambodia. Is this the revenge that Cambodia wants, or will Philippines go through it again like they did in SEA Games?
Well, we heard exactly that Chama, right? When he said, I want a rematch versus Mongolia. Well, now that we had the first series pretty much wrap up here, OSX, we know that Mongolia is waiting there. There's a huge challenge ahead of Cambodia, right? A very familiar foe, if you will, right? It's the Philippines here, and they have to get over that to get to that revenge match, like you mentioned. Now, for the Philippines, though, they're in a very similar position that we saw Mongolia. But, you know, we got to see a lot of those matches from the Philippines, and them having pretty much undefeated through the group stages where they are now, right? It's just basically a clean slate. At this point, day one in the playoffs, this is where things kind of fall into place for a lot of these teams, right? Again, we saw that even the previous series where there was a potential there. Reverse sweep from Kazakhstan. It didn't happen though, right?
Yep.
Mongolia came through. But now with this matchup specifically, again, the familiarity is going to play a part in this, right? For the most part throughout the series. Starting off with game number one, my biggest thing, and I've been saying this every time the Philippines has played, is has somebody figured out how to deal with that sustained lineup? They showed two versions. Not only that, but they love to throw it back, you know, to the Angeling combination. Yeah. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah, we might see some cheese or pocket picks right here off the bat. Now let's go and pull up the team roster for this one. We have Team Philippines right on our screens. We have Amande, Saison, Arcangel, Unigo, and Requitiano. For Team Cebol Philippines, we've seen Flap, Tizay, and also now it's a new XP laner for Philippines, which was a good start. Yes, his debut, and now he's going through it again, second time around.
Yeah, I think, again, we talked about this kind of extensively yesterday and just how well of I guess, an option, you know, here having Amande kind of plug and play into this lineup, right? It works so well. The shoes were obviously there to fill. He did it well, performed well, and still I think one of the biggest things, again, is being able to control the pretty much aggression through the jungle. If they opt for the Angeling combo, again, there has to be a response to it. And even if it's not that, right? The fact that Florin popped up, man. I don't know if, you know, Coach Ducky and the rest of Team Philippines here still on that redemption for Florin again, like making a statement worldwide, like, hey, you know, it works, and here it is, right? Because they already did that. Now, the thing is, do they want to approach this differently? Or is there something, again, up the sleeves here for Team Philippines?
They did that in Cambodia as well.
Yeah.
When they used Florin and swore not to use it again. Now let's check out the roster of Cambodia going up to this match, looking up on our screens.
Okay, for Cambodia, we have none other than Fury, D7, CCAT, Selly Chama, and ATM. And as you guys, if you've been following this team for a while now, you know how much of a personality Chama has. You know, there's plenty of clips of him around too, but it's great that you have that, but then you have the support of this well-rounded roster of personalities themselves. Some of them are a little quieter than others, but they make it speak for themselves within the game. And I think that's always something why you cannot count out Cambodia either, right? At this point, they have shown just how strong of a contender they are. And even though they have that huge obstacle ahead of them, which is the, you know, Team Philippines, they're in a great position to be able to have this upset in a will, because a lot of people are expecting the Philippines to pull through here, right? So if you're Cambodia, if you're rooting for Cambodia, you know they have that specific play style and it matches really well in the current state of the game. You just have to be able to pull it through, because I will say Philippines, probably one of the best things that they're good at is keeping you kind of in suspense, if you will, for early game, right? But then all of a sudden, it's like they just flip the table, or like the tables have turned the turn of the tables, whichever you want to go with.
Whatever turns, whatever works.
Whatever turns. Like the Philippines, for some reason, mid-game, they just press the gas and they're able to take off. So I feel like, again, Cambodia being who they are and as they are as a team, they are the team to be able to handle that kind of fire, if you will.
Yeah. Speaking of fire, looks like Shima. Something is different from seeing him right on the stage. Making an entrance, I never saw his jacket.
The red jacket.
The red jacket that we've seen consistently in Southeast Asian games until now. Now he's won with everybody with the jerseys right on the bat. And looking at the personality on how we met Team Philippines, arriving today in the venue, we're seeing also as well as energetic, as pumped up as possible. I've seen also one playing in the retro games down in the waiting area. So I believe these two teams right there are very conditioned and as well as ready for more of the obstacles that might show up today.
You know, one of the great things too, and I feel like this is just kind of like behind the scenes information, is like the training that these players can go through while they're here is amazing because there's such good servers out here. You know, we've even got to experience that, right? I'm not sure 100%. We heard that they have their own server out here, but they get to practice, and it's almost like, you know, when you get to play in certain parts of the world and you have like single-digit ping, and it's like playing on a whole different game almost. That's the same thing here. So
you can play Hayabusa and Fanny all at once.
Something like that.
With 1 MS ping.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's very similar, you know, back at home.
Yeah.
But my point here is with these teams, just all in general, the practicing that they've been able to do.
Yeah.
You get to hear a lot. Yeah, you get to hear a lot of these like little side facts for them. Both teams prepping up here as we jump into this game 1 draft though to kick it off.
Yeah, there's a good draft right away. It's game number 1. Philippines on the first pick. Now, if we might see the history, yeah, they mostly go on the second one. But on the history of how Cambodia heroes or comfort picks are being prioritized on their side, once they go for the second side, they go with their own way of funneling through their marksman. One of the signature picks, which is the Beatrix. So interesting though, Natalia for Philippines, and for Cambodia we have Faramis.
Yeah, it's again, these are teams that just they've played enough against each other that it works well.
In history, Southeast Asian games, this is one of the problems that Team Cebu, Team Philippines face. In a way, this is a respect for Cambodia and what happened from then on.
That's what I said. It's familiarity at this point, right? I mean, these and a lot of the teams that came into IESF Asian Championships or even back in the qualifiers, you know, you're really kind of, even though it was online, you're kind of wondering like, okay, what does this team have? What do they, you know, how have they developed their play style? And what we learned too, especially talking to a lot of these teams or the players out here, is like, yeah, we pay attention a lot of the times to some of these powerhouse countries around the world with their teams, and we learn from them and we adapt our own kind of play style to that. And I feel like that's something to be said even with Cambodia. Like if you watch them over the course of the months, you know, and even in the past, even in their own league, they have developed this sort of play style that ends up just working well for them. And I feel like it works specifically well against the Philippines. And that's why you have these, the respect bands coming out, of course, and just heroes that have been devastating for the Philippines.
Yeah, the Franco as well, D7 on their matches, good match results there, and also the Kadita. So we're targeting more of the roamers now, you're right. So trimming down the setups might come in from Cambodia or Philippines. So with this third pick, they might actually ban a mage hero out of Cambodia that has been viable in most of their matches. The Lilia, we've seen the Lilia being banned up by Cambodia in most of the draft picks that they went through, even the Eve as well. So yeah, the Kaja being present as well in the bans of the Philippines. Now it's always about the roamers here for Cambodia.
Well, I think that just warrants it because a lot of the times, a lot of these teams that have excellent roamers, you know, roam players, even deep hero pools within that frame, they change the course of the game. They can, right? Single-handedly for a lot of times. And also, it's just part of the way the game kind of unfolds is you have that momentum being set with that roam player, right? Whether regardless of whatever team we're talking about here. So good to kind of hone in on that for the Philippines. They focus on that. I'm not sure exactly, you know, once we get to that second phase, how they want to respond and continue on. But it's Cambodia that decides, yeah, we're not going to give the Eve the Kadita, and of course the Faramis. So they're also focusing kind of on one specific area, you know, and dealing with that. So now this leaves the question, what's that priority pick? Is it going to be the Fredrin? Because that might be one of the safest routes to go. And there's still a lot open though too. Some of the heroes that have been popping up over the course of this tournament here, OSX.
Two similarities here that can show up. Either Philippines gets the Lancelot against... Oh, okay. Scratch that out. They're letting it go to Cambodia. For sure.
Are they baiting? Do they want the Ling to be chosen from Cambodia?
Sometimes, okay.
This might be
be the way, yeah. Because for Cambodia, most of their way of doing this draft as they go for the marksman first or the roam first. But this Angela first thing, you don't get two. Philippines only one. But that's the Ling and the Fredrin both present.
Okay, well, either the Fredrin is going to the XP lane or he's going in the mid like they saw, you know, from yesterday, what the Philippines did. So we'll see if they're using their own, you know, poison against them. But this could also be part of the plan. Philippines first picking Angela?
Yeah.
You know,
well, this happens normally in the Philippines in our games, but this is something new. They're baiting out something out of Cambodia. You're right. With two assassins present and being taken down by Cambodia, might as well go for the XP, Uranus.
Okay.
Not changing a thing.
Well, does this also just kind of play the hand once again? Do you want to take the Esmeralda? You've already got the Fredrin, so if you don't park him in the XP lane, obviously a lane going in the jungle, then you have no choice but to go and try to play him like the Philippines did yesterday in the mid lane, right? So you have some of those options. That's probably the best way to deal with all these shields. If you don't lock in the Esmeralda, then you have to come up with something else for that game plan, right? But again, it seems like Philippines is just kind of playing into that. So it doesn't happen. Pickup is going to be the joy here.
Yeah. Another comfort pick for Cambodia twice in a row against Nepal. You have the joy, and still on the EXP, probably he might be expecting that the presence of the Arlet can still be eminent. But now with the Uranus present, there's a lot on the table. That since Philippines doesn't have the marksman yet, they're trimming down more choices for Super Marco to go out. So with this, the Roger is out as well. So with the Joy being present, they're forcing more out from Philippines to take away or to use against Cambodia.
As we get through this second phase here, the bans, it's interesting to see exactly what the game plan for Cambodia is. Again, if they decide to, depending on where they put this Fredrin, right, because there's a couple options here that they could play around with, they still got to be able to deal, like I said, with the sustainability. Also, the set potential with just having a Grok across from them is also going to be a threat, something to deal with, right? You want to be able to also lock in something good for your gold lane. I like the Harith ban there because essentially you're thinking, all right, what do we park in the gold lane? And this has been something that we've been talking about for the course of this tournament, how the gold lane is kind of going through this own shift in a way, right? Alongside that XP lane. But gold lane specifically, like, do you want to take that traditional marksman in there? We've seen a lot of, you know, Carry pop up, Brody here, Beatrix, of course, still. And I feel like it's getting increasingly tough for a lot of these marksman picks in the gold lane, unless you can really just kind of thrive by just farming and then transition to mid to late game where you kind of pop off. But again, you need the right things to fall in place there. So there it is, the last ban, right? That was the Carry, who, like I said, is a struggle, but would have actually worked great against this lineup already from Philippines.
They're forcing out the Beatrix out of Cambodia.
Yeah.
For this one, because there's no other option here present, even on the second phase. Two heroes out, you have the Carry, you have the Harith out, because at this point in time, two teams doesn't have yet the marksman, but they're not going with the traditional one. They're going with the gold lane Lunok. So opening up the possibility that Beatrix could also be used by Philippines, as well as take their jungler with them. Could be a Lancelot with the presence of an Angela.
Yeah. Jungle options there, whatever you want to shine the most with. Lancelot would probably work greatest, you know, against the Ling, especially the matchup. But still, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes up differently, right? It's really up to the Philippines. Like, do we opt for that? It makes sense. We still kind of, we don't have the Angel Ling combo, but, you know, we've got, what, the Lance...
Langela.
I was gonna say you're better at it than I am.
Langela.
Langela.
Just in case.
Okay, back
Yeah.
from Fardita, now the Langela.
Langela.
It could happen. It's
But no!
we forgot.
We forgot that part. Yeah, it's a Fangela. It's a Fanny and Angela.
Okay.
Right on to Philippines. On stream could be a debut. We haven't seen the off-stream games yet, but this is something new again for the second game of the day. So there's a Fanny answering the global capability of a Ling as well.
I wonder if Cambodia is thinking about this. Like, darn, we forgot. We have to take out the Fanny, because I feel like every team that plays against Philippines takes out Fanny, like in the first phase even.
It's
for the most part.
It's the first thing. It's the first thing that you do.
Well, it didn't happen here, so now they're going to have to play against it, right?
Yeah.
And if you just look across the board as we wait for this last pickup, it's going to be the crew, great, probably the best choice you have.
Yeah,
you know, playing into the Fanny. So covering the bases at least there, because if you look across this lineup for Philippines, it's pretty well-rounded, I would say, right? You've got a lot of coverage in all the areas that you need, and especially the biggest thing is you lack a little bit of that magic damage in comparison, right? In comparison to what's across from you. So you have to be able to start strong, start early, and I think that's just statistically what we know about the Philippines. That's what they want to do. On the other hand, Cambodia, especially locking in, they have that Lunox. They have quite a bit of capability to burst with the magic damage, pairing it up with the Joy too, right? We're expecting an early Genius Wand to be built, using those beats, kind of popping that Vengeance, just wrecking a havoc in the back line if they can, and then hopefully, you know, you have enough follow-up through that. I think that's the game plan here, specifically for Cambodia.
Just imagine magic damage reduction that needs to be present on the side of the Philippines. Now, on game number 1, looks like the battle's about to start. It's the first match of Philippines versus Cambodia. Now let's see how this goes. Again, our XP laner for Philippines is now Cannon, a PHI Cannon for this game.
And even just looking at the emblems, right? Early starting here, kind of, I mean, to be expected, right? I also think it's interesting that we have the Grok rolling with that concussive blast, of course, the tenacity, looking for any type of poking that can happen here with that emblem. Already getting an early flicker out as well, so, you know, a minor win here.
Yeah. Good work there for Philippines, trying to force out those flickers mostly. Now, if you're early game, you might want to step up. Look at that. C-Cat as well being... Whoa!
Another flicker, like this. That's so much value, right? Early on. Okay, D7 going to jump in, and there will result into nothing. But again, so much value by just early game. Even before the 1 minute mark, you already get these 2 flickers down. If they want to look for a follow-up play from that as soon, they can, especially here with Sason right on the Fanny.
Yeah, and looking at how they could make use of the macro game that they're doing, or they're going up against Cambodia. They have a Ling as well, but 2 heroes dependent on the jungle side. But this is, wait, hold that thought, ADM gonna use the beats to escape.
Should be fine, like I mentioned. Oh, hold on. But real quick, a little bit late there, but that was already the first blood at Chama on the run. And this is kind of not what you want to happen, right? When we're talking about Fanny here, just in general, especially in the hands of Sason, right? You get that early kill. He's running with the lethal ignition on top of it. Scaling is going to be in his favor, especially at this point in the game, right? Leading into that first turtle also, it's going to be crucial for Cambodia to be able to fight against this and really be weary of their positioning.
Well, speaking of positioning here, 2 members present. We have Cannon and Arcangel right in the first turtle and near the pit. Now 2 members as well might be into the contest, but looking at the threat here, there's a global coverage that Saison can do. Cannon as well, still baiting out.
Yeah, they already get him. Here comes Sason, though, going to be Beyblading his way. Heart Guard already going to be connected to. ATM will fall. Still going to be looking for more. C-Cat could be in trouble. Appraiser's Wrath going to come down, but it's just too much. Trying to buy time. Here comes D7 with the follow-up. Is not enough just yet. C-Cat can't get away. Pickup kill for Inigo.
D7 was too far. Completely on the other side of the map. It's now Saison stolen.
Yeah, stolen.
Completely taken out, the purple out of Shima. Now, a bit of delay of thinking this third, but that was one worthy way of trying to play around the map in a macro scale. Cambodia needs to have that catch. If Fanny is around, if Saison is around, You need to get a knock. Look at that. Arcangel knocking out 2, and Philippines secure the first turtle.
Yeah, first turtle secured here. And like I said, Unigo specifically on this Angela. You kind of expect this, right? The heart guard timing is going to be on point, exactly where it needs to be, but already building in, you know, early assist, early kill, really going to help the scaling department there. So this is what I was saying. The piece to the puzzle has to be solved from Cambodia really quickly, even this early on into the game. You know, they got to be able to set themselves up here. And if that's, you know, Fury to be able to kind of burst people down, it'd be great. But already ATM, you know, having these early deaths, he's going to start to get behind here, right? And at one point, you really don't want to be in that position as far as having this joy in the XP lane.
Yeah, if you're talking about how mobility is concerned, inside of Cambodia, if you want to get a catch on how slippery Philippines is going through those kinds of takes, especially in the jungle, look at that. Shima almost low on HP, being blocked of taking out his own purple or orange. Now, this is one problem here. They're taking out resources early on up against Cambodia.
Okay, so as we get situated, let's go ahead and just see how things kind of fall into place, right? This is, yeah, the turtle was secured here. You're now at a 3K gold deficit. Saison once again going to force the Tempest of Blades all for the purple. Able to secure it for Chama, though. Now we'll see if they actually want to go ahead and counterpunch this. D7 charging up. Better safe than sorry. They don't commit. 3K behind, though.
Yeah, but just looking at the map, they have eyes on the gold lane as well. This is a late game possible threat for Philippines. The lineup of Cambodia, look at that, ATM.
Oh no, ATM once again, even with the beats. He survives though somehow. Luckily, Chama was there. That would have been really bad if he did go down. Meanwhile, Cannon in the mid lane, still putting attention here. All this leading into that turtle. Here it comes in a couple seconds. Spawning real quick, taking a look at the items.
Yeah, Dominance Ice onto Cannon, able to sustain and zone out members of Cambodia. Still like present for Arcangel as well. Using this ability to even hold on to those kinds of teammates where he can be out of the soaker damage for Philippines. Now in the setup, they're waiting for Philippines to even make the first move because as you can see, we have 2 members down and we have D7 and as well as Fury down in the bush. As well, at this point, nobody has checked out that, but they might be sensing something here because nobody's taking a near or being close to the area where they can be in trouble.
Yeah, they don't want to, I mean, they don't want to overcommit, right, in terms of the space here. You still got both junglers trying to get the resources they need to set themselves up for this objective take. Turtle going to go ahead and take a trip back to the setup here, back to its pond.
Yeah.
Reset. Good usage. Once again, this is why Grok can do quite a bit within the game, right, just with that Guardian's Barrier. So already here, like I said, no one paying attention. ATM, though, gonna get just taken down so quickly. Tempest of Blades, meanwhile, for the turtle. The wild charge gonna come through. Chama in trouble, can't escape. Will fall. The heart guard gonna be used now. Fury trying to buy some time. Does he have enough damage? It's not, because the sustain is too much.
Fury.
Requitiano, here he comes. Gets the brilliance out. Gonna be looking for the lineup shot here. One shot away he goes. Changes guns. Gets the kill. Now for the run, Cambodia goes. No one able to get the turtle.
2 members down. First, it was ATM. 3 deaths in. D7 trying to hold off Cannon. Now, right in their own defense, they just keep on pushing through the lanes of Cambodia. Now, Saison has a better view of this last turtle probably for this early game. Now, eyeing on the objectives, they're forcing out a lot of things in Cambodia. Depleting out of their resources. Yep. That is Unigo coming in for Requitiano, but now looking at the fact that it's the focus of draining out resources for Cambodia to even build through their mid-late game power spike.
Yeah, if you want to get to that power spike, if you're Cambodia, you know, you really got to settle into this because things are just going from bad to worse at this point. Again, like I said, the shining moment for Team Philippines is always that mid-game transition, and that's where we're at. ATM has been struggling. Chama also just picking up that Berserker's Fury. Fury also getting a Genius Wand here, trying to help with that damage, but as we saw from that last little pretty much team fight in the jungle, the damage isn't enough, right? And now Saison once again just trying to assert dominance for the buff, still working on C-Cat, should be able to get the kill, has the energy, goes in under the turret. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, D7 will fall, and it looked like ATM did as well alongside C-Cat. It's devastating for Cambodia.
3 bodies down, 8 minutes in. Again, the level of Saison right now up against Shima is 2 levels ahead. Using the air superiority and the cutthroat right in the right moment was diverting all of the attention of Cambodia to even defend or even get in a reinforcement follow-up. Now base is opening slowly and the Philippines is taking more coverage of the map, not leaving any purple for Ling or for Shima. Look at that. Cannon
Look at the
excellent
attention.
things.
Has the heart guard here with the team, but he will not be enough. It took the whole team effort to get through that. Cannon will fall. Even taking a look at the items here, OSX, how's it looking?
Berserker's Fury present on Shima, but delaying and getting all the purples out is not what you want if you're scaling into the late game. Now, Dominance Ice is present though for CCAT N as well as you have that Genius Wand that we're talking about. 2 Genius Wands present, but in the side of Philippines, they're still building through that Magic Burst damage. But one thing is considered here as well, they're slowing down healing on what the Joy and the Lunox can do. So as this early point in time, they still can force out resources from Cambodia, so they still can make them, well, wait and see that what could their magic damage potential can show up in the later stage of the game. But will that happen though? Saison taking the Lord, another objective for Team Philippines. Now waves will be cleaned up and Cambodia will be in a defensive state.
They've been, I mean, for the past, I don't know, 7-8 minutes, they've felt like they've been defensively playing. And that's just because, again, it started from the draft. You have to look back there. First pick, Angela. You guys take Ling. We know you're going to do that. We're going to have a game plan to basically take your buff, choke out your jungle. Chama's level 10, by the way, against a 14 Saison, right? That's not a good time. You're kind of just a walking Ling at this point. You might be able to bob and weave through a couple walls, but really you don't have much. They do try to make an effort, and this one in the mid lane, the wild charge is going to come through. Tier 2 will fall, but look at the damage. It's just too much to handle. Triple kill over here for Requitiano. Chama just has to watch on the wall as he sees his teammates fall.
Arcangel with the pin down. 3 important members of Cambodia. The ones needed to defend, the ones needed to enter the back lines of the Philippines. Now they're breaking through the base. Last tier turret up top, now onto the mid. Now pushing Cambodia to be defenseless with no more turrets to defend. Now forcing out Thames Glades. What could happen here? Base is being destroyed now.
Here it is once again. Base going to be quickly worked on, and just like that, Philippines will take first blood in the series.
Clean start for Team Seaball up against Cambodia. Having debut picks, switching up roles, and this is how they prepared for Cambodia. Great start, Philippines.
Strong start. Again, very familiar timing on that. That was about 10.5 minutes. This is what we saw them in one of their dominating matches before. And it always happens like that, right? It's that transition into mid-game where they just press the gas. They look to end the game a lot of times with that first Lord push. And there's only a certain amount of teams that actually like to try that or attempt that. And there's only a certain amount of teams that can actually pull that off, right? And that's something that has to be solved here for any teams that will be facing against the Philippines in the future and other teams alike. Now, that's what I'm saying. Even if you go back and look at the draft here, it started with that first pick, Angela, wanting, just kind of being like, hey, Cambodia, go ahead and take it. We know. It's either you take it or we're going to get it. We're going to get the Angeline combo. They decided to opt to take the Ling, but unfortunately, even when you take the Ling, you still need to be able to allow your Ling to get the farm that you need, to get the movement that you need, and that just didn't happen. You saw how much of a disparity there was in levels from, from Ling and the Fanny, right, between Chama and Saison there.
Yeah, purple's taken over. How many times
Yeah.
that was stolen up against a Ling? If you want more ways to climb over the wall and rotate freely over the map, you would want to have that energy and the light points with you. But with that kind of way, all of the members of Cambodia, we're pushed down to a fact that will we defend or will we be aggressive? So in a way, time wasn't on their side, and just keep going from early game. We might see how their game goes in this replay. Look at that. How Saison manages to have this micro and macro way of responding and taking all of the first objectives into his hands and just diverting everybody through in Cambodia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even at this point of the game, you know, it was relatively still, you know, it wasn't anything huge in terms of gold and things like that. Even objectively, the Philippines is just kind of like, yeah, just leave the turtle there, you know? Put pressure in the jungle. Put pressure on the buffs here. Don't let Chama get it, and grab a couple kills where you can. Again, this is the thing about Angela, right? The heart guard this early on, so strong. Even with the damage here, like you would think, you know, from Fury picking this this Lunox, it just wasn't enough, and things kind of started to fall into place here for Philippines as they continued to get kill after kill, and it turned into Cambodia really just trying to find last-ditch efforts in a lot of this. Yes, they got a kill here, but it was a whole team effort, right, to kind of get Cannon down, and this was the last one where they really tried to make something happen. But again, there's just so much, just a huge power difference in terms of itemization and team pretty much effort at that point. So it was, at that point, it was tough to deal with.
Just by the attention of the arenas itself. Up top, you have 4 members trying to draw in your attention, pulling everybody out of your, even in their own base. So it leaves all of the purples and even oranges present for you to take. So that's one way of putting the Fanny in a much more comfortable way of dealing a snowball throughout their own way of composing against Cambodia. So with this point, they might do a reset for this best of 3.
They're going to have to, right? And I think one of the answers, too, again, and this is why we always see so many teams that play against the Philippines, like, hey, just ban the Fanny, man. Like, just, you know, just ban it out. So we're also going to take a look at the end game stats here for this match number 1 and how things kind of the picture that was painted. Look at that. It was tough. It was tough for Cambodia. 12-1, 10:44 game time, and even the buff count, man. It was, that is how you say that is a starving Ling, or as people around the world sometimes like to say, it's like could either be a walking Ling or a walking Fanny.
Yeah, that could either way.
Either way, like when you don't get your buffs, like that's how it feels.
Yeah, imagine you feeling hungry most of the times. It's even in your game. 8 orange buffs taken, even 9 purple buffs taken against a Ling. As you can see behind the items on the screen, mostly you have a way of dealing damage, right? He had just the Berserker's Fury, and to even total the damage that Team Cambodia has. Yes, they have the Genius 1, 2 Genius 1s present, but 2 of members is more in the sustain department. So with the lineup of the Philippines has, you need to worry about the Beatrix that has 3 core items in, and also you need to worry about the Fanny. Almost 4 items completely, and you need to worry about 2 heroes who's on sustain. Well, we can't count out even Arcangel just making through all the defenses even in the back lane. So with this point, completely completing the recipe of a dominating start for Philippines up against Cambodia.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be quite a few adjustments here from Cambodia. Like if you just take this game 1 and you take the past couple days out of the picture here, this is a very strong showing, obviously, for the Philippines, right? Cambodia, as they had that kind of idea. Again, these are comfort heroes also in essence, right? They need to be able to kind of I don't know if it's just ban out Fanny and Angela, you know, so at least you don't have to worry about that so much. It could also mean like just taking, for example, like Uranus wasn't even a problem to be fair in this game. It was more so we were baited into picking the Ling, and then we had no control over our own jungle. So then it got to the point where we had no control over the early game, the objectives or anything like that, because we couldn't move around, right? So those are the main things that I could see for Cambodia as they have to make those adjustments for game 2.
Yeah, and their enforcement of the Kufra wasn't mostly close.
Yeah.
On how the Fanny or even Saison is going around and just taking everybody out of the map and killing them off one by one. The presence of the Kufra is much more needed in order for you to get that Fanny out of the steel cables and making the passive proc, the air superiority, and even the cutthroat. So that's one problem that they needed to address. But the agility of how the Philippines is moving, rotating faster the map as seconds go by, it was too late for Cambodia to even do. So with this point, they might go back to their own comfort picks that we actually know and witnessed. The Lancelot could be back, the Franco could be back. So if they want to go and offer those kinds of options to make it back to the second game, hell, well, let's see how it goes.
Well, they're going to have to do something, OSX, because we heard Chama say they want to face off Mongolia again, right? Mongolia is there.
In the lower bracket.
Yeah, they're waiting because if they can't, for example, if Cambodia can't beat the Philippines here, they're going to have to go and face off Kazakhstan, right? They don't get that chance to have that redemption against Cambodia. So Philippines, though, of course, they're on the course. Again, there's not too many of these games that end that 10-minute mark, that 10.5-minute mark, right? But Philippines might be looking to amp up for another one of those. And I feel like Cambodia, again, this is a team that we were kind of explaining them, or at least kind of their play style is very fast-paced, usually.
Flashy.
Right? It might be quick, it might be flashy and whatnot, but still, the Philippines has learned to adapt to that because they have, you know, at this point, most of these teams have played against every type of kind of play style, right? And things kind of change in and out a little bit. But for Cambodia, if they just stick to their guns or their play style and they continue to play like that, it's partly just securing the early game.
Yeah, go back to the roots.
Go back to the roots, secure the early game with your own momentum-based kind of strategy, be able to control your jungle and the pace, and I think that would set them up really to at least alleviate the Philippines from always popping off in the mid-game, man. Like always that 8-minute mark transitioning into the mid-game is where really you have this team, Philippines, shine. So for Cambodia, it's like, how do we gain control on the early game? You know, how do we do that? And it's obviously the answer here. That's a rhetorical question. It's in the draft.
To
right?
add, yes, it's
there.
in the draft. But who do you target? Saison?
No, it's not even. It's not even about targeting specific.
Who you're going to ban out?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing you can do is take out, like I said, Fanny Angela, and then from there, it's setting up your own strategy, not getting put into a situation or a corner, just like they did. That's what Game 1 draft was. They got put into a corner. And unfortunately, they couldn't play their game.
It's hard.
It is hard.
That's hard. Even if I get stuck in one kind of way to even bounce back in that point of the game, I might just think of ways even for my team to even bounce back for like, I don't know.
But when it's that far behind, like how do you bounce back?
Yeah, how do you bounce back? Either you get a perfect set or you have enough damage, but at some point that was delaying the inevitable in a way.
Yeah.
In game number 1. So let's see how they bounce back in game number 2. So it's not impossible. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
We have game faces on.
It's double elimination.
Double elimination for Cambodia and the Philippines. Again, you're looking at these 4 teams, the best of the best in IESF, also to represent their country. It's not too a big of a loss in a way, because they're still going to represent. But now it's the title for tomorrow for the grand finals. But now we're walking through their journey in the playoffs. So Cambodia and Philippines, a different way of adapting here, but it's muchly more on what keeps us strong and change what's not broken. You're right. Probably Cambodia could go back to their own roots, or maybe channel something up. They were doing the non-traditional marksman picks, as you've mentioned, right? Lunox, late game, maybe channel up something, a momentum breaker composition that could even slow down the process of the opposing team. So who knows? A lot of things can happen in the second game.
I would love to see, like, I hope we see something similar like we did from the last series, OSX, where, you know, it wasn't a sweep. You know, because again, we're in playoffs. Like this, we want to see. Yes, as strong as a team as Team Philippines is, like I said, you can't count Cambodia out.
Of course,
right? So you hope that maybe they are the ones that give the Philippines their first taste of a loss too, just like we saw, you know, from Mongolia previously. And I think that would really set the stage here, obviously, for hopefully a Game 3. But with how things are going, like, there's so much you have to deal with. Again, with the Philippines naturally ending games before they even get to that 15-minute mark, that's why I'm saying, like, your early game for Cambodia is so important here. You know, we see them getting set up here for game number 2. And the early game, for the most part, will carry you through that mid-game dominant strategy that the Philippines has, right? So again, they're going to flip sides, I'm pretty sure. So they'll have that priority option, which allows them once again to kind of start with the game plan they want to. Biggest thing though, once again, like I said, is what do they ban? Well, how do you get the picks, or at least the game plan that you want, right? For the Philippines, number 1, yeah, don't give the Fanny. There's the flip-flop I was talking about. So we have Cambodia.
First pick.
First bans will probably, if I don't see a Fanny pop up here, I would be surprised. Maybe even the Angela.
Yeah. Either they're more prepared to handle that, or they might pick something or play fire with the choice of an assassin hero.
But that's the thing, like, Chama even got his comfort hero, man. Yeah. Like, he is known for his Ling, and he just got completely shut down in Game 1. Like, he didn't have a good time at all.
I'm thinking one more option, though.
There it is. I love it. I love it.
Okay,
Good.
a good
This is a good start.
Good start.
Step
Respect,
one,
bud.
check.
Yeah. We have the check boxes back again. Yeah.
Yep.
We have the Fanny out for Team Philippines, respecting also the Natalia at some point. Now, if you want to go back on the roots of the options of Shima, you said Ling was one, Lancelot's also one.
Yeah, it is. And
But-
there's another box. OSX.
Another
Hey, it's
one.
funny because our good friends, you know, our good friends that we met here, the other casters too, they talk about boxes as well. Checking the boxes.
Right.
It's universal language, right?
It is.
And that's what I feel like. If I was a coach or an analyst, if I was ever there one day, if my IQ was ever high enough for the land of Dawn,
Yeah.
that's how I would present it to my players. I'd be like, here's your boxes.
Here's your boxes. Number
Check 'em,
one.
boys.
Yeah. Respect what's strong.
Yeah.
And do what you do best.
And this is the start, right? I love it. There's
Wow,
the third one.
3.
Good job, Cambodia.
Okay.
They took out the link. Yeah, you know, in a way, again, the fact that they banned out the Angela doesn't, like, they probably could have banned something else, but it also is like, Chaman just doesn't want to play that or give it up. So Philippines still focusing on the roam roll. This could probably just be Kaja again. Very similar bans, right, from what we saw. Unless, just like last time, they want to bait that pick. And this is part of the whole, you know, mind game of the draft, right?
I like what you're going at. This
Thank
could
you.
be the Philippines' way of baiting out Cambodia to even take the Lancelot first pick. Because right now, there is no Eve, a good bando for Philippines. Will this be an assassin comfort pick of Shima that might be prioritized
Novaria.
in their first pick? Novaria, yeah, right.
I don't know if they'd actually go that route.
Will they sacrifice that though? Because again, in the Philippines, Saison is using the Lancelot too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, either you take your early comfort pick for the jungler, or because Novaria is open, I'm talking about early game, at least doing well in the early game. Novaria is one of those heroes that allows that, right? It is just one of the few options here that they can pick up the first option, first priority pick for
enough.
Cambodia.
Yeah, you need more vision. That was missing in game number 1.
Yeah.
So that's a good answer if they have the Novaria in their hands. But that was an early game crossing the bridge into the mid to late game part, because that's where the Novaria shines.
There it
But
is.
yes,
Maybe I could be a coach or an analyst at this point.
you have your checkbox. Let's climb your stats, bro.
It's true though. Like, Novaria is open, right? You get you provide your team with vision. Not only that, but you get great poke. And not only that, here's the other box, OSX. You can also still play this in the roam if you really wanted to, like we saw previously, right?
Earlier.
Now, you don't get the crazy combination of Novaria and Eve, which works so well, but you still have other routes you can go, right? And if you do decide to just go ahead and play this in the mid lane and not the roam, then at least for the sake of the early game, you should be able to provide your team with a much safer way, you know, a much safer route of the game. Unless, too, we see them Chama. If he picks up the YSS, this would be great. This would be crazy.
Ooh, the combo, the
If he does,
possible
yeah.
combo that we're expecting. But no, not prioritizing on the jungle picket for Saison. This is a good route as well, because if you're going up against a Novaria, you might as well have a backline entry on where could she be heading at. So it's still a consistent pick with the Uranus though. I say this is a good way of not showing your cards right away. This is how they play against Cambodia.
Yeah.
Because now they might opt for their XP lane for this one. Tyroth could still be open, that we've seen in the last match.
Lapu Lapu.
Lapu Lapu, Glue not being
Yeah, weird.
in the focus.
It's so weird that we don't
of the
see Glue
tournament. Yeah, but he's great. But it's a different route that they're trying to do. That's good. So if Novaria is present, will they go for the jungle pick for Shima?
Oh, good call, Francis.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna rise my stats now.
There you go. Dyroth.
Okay, Dyroth. I have a checkbox.
Locked in.
We're gonna climb it, bro. We're
Yep.
gonna climb analyst thing.
He's going to lock
Okay.
in. So also the Brody, I think that's a great option. But, you know, essentially like what we saw in the previous series today, Dyroth versus Uranus, it works. It works great. Again, you just need to be able to pull off the execution part of it, because your damage, the penetration that he all provides and everything else, and also relatively, again, with the new emblems, the new talents, you get quite tanky, right? Even just, again, it's only a tier 1 talent, the firmness talent, like it works really well for the setup for Dyroth, for that tankiness, and also to get that sustain going. And here we go, another pick that we haven't seen, at least on the live stream, right? The Atlas comes out to play.
For the first time.
For the first time.
We've seen Atlas here. And that's 2 heroes from Team Philippines could either enter the back line. Again, the focus of Cambodia here is 3 strong hero picks of the Philippines. We have 2 assassins and 1 support, but they're missing out something. From this point in time that they have the Navaria, they might take out the Lolita here, something that could block all of the damages. But with the presence of Atlas here, they're still going with the Diggy Band, which is a good option for Philippines as well. So if you're paired up with the Navaria, I think the option for YSS could still show up.
It could. Again, it's not banned out just yet. I do think, now this last ban for Philippines is really going to be kind of conditional. It's Paquito. And that was quick. It was like it was almost kind of like just ban it, right? In a form of at least experience and kind of knowledge that they have, that could possibly have been picked up by Cambodia, but I'm wondering exactly the decision there too in terms of Philippines and kind of what they want to round this out with. Now with Cambodia having 1 ban left, you know, what do they narrow down here, right? We're still waiting for that roam option. You mentioned Lolita earlier, if they want to go ahead and go that route.
Yeah, they need something to protect here. You have the Brody, yes, but what is the front line here? Because you're up against an Atlas, you need something to hold that through, or maybe something to burst him down. But being the Joy out of the picture, what could be the last possible answer? The Faramis, yeah, probably still not letting the sustain be present for Philippines.
Unless Cambodia goes Fred.
Yeah, fair
They
enough.
go Fredrin, you know? Because there's just no way that, yeah, obviously, like, even with the Uranus across from this, you don't see Dyroth in the jungle. So, safe route would be just go a Fredrin. That might be the safest one for Chama. I just don't know if that's, you know, where he wants to go.
But yes.
Oh.
Told ya. This is what we have considering an open pick for Saison. So you have an Atlas, you have the Lancelot, 2 strong comfort picks here, as well as for the marksman. What's left now? I mean, the Franco's still open. One of the comfort picks of D7 as well.
No, Franco's banned out.
Franco's banned out.
Yep.
So opening this part of the draft, good correction there. Well, Twizzler? No, it's too much. I mean, Faramis is even out. So.
Yeah, this is kind of what it comes down to, right? Again, we don't know if they want to roll with a double burst kind of mid lane roam setup. Still an option, but like you said, they would lack some front line. So they need either one of the jungle options, which would be Fredrin, or Sustain. If they roll with that, tell me this is an Estes, Fredrin, maybe a Martis, there's the Fredrin, right?
Wow.
So this is good for the most part. The biggest thing though, and I'm glad that we're seeing it because I mentioned this for the past 2 days. I said, what team is going to play that sustain game against the Philippines who brought it out in the tournament first? And it's Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Day 3.
On day 3. So we have the SS, we have the Fred. So mostly, they would really want to climb their mid game here. Or they need to have a very good start if they're up against the Philippines. So the 1 more heroes left here, so they would need, this is the mage role for Philippines. So one's open as far as you also have well, what could still be available here?
We're gonna find out in a second here. Wow, debut pick, another one. Sicilian locked in here.
That was right off
That's
my...
not what you're, that's not what you're thinking.
Because I'm still thinking of what could possibly pop up, but okay. That's a good one. Another debut. We have a Sicilian in for Team Philippines in game number 2.
Okay, this not what I was expecting Sicilian at all, off the top of my head. But maybe there's a method to the madness, right? This could end up working, but now... The team that brought out the sustainability kind of composition and whatnot, let's see how they handle it. Let's see if they're the ones that have the answer. That's what I want to see here at OSX.
I'm kind of still processing on what could still happen, but I'm glad it's not. I'm wrong, and this could keep
glad
on
it's
going.
not me,
Yeah,
basically.
I'm glad it's not me, but this is a better option. Let's see how this fight goes. It's Cambodia versus Philippines in game number 2. Will this be the composition that they needed to bounce back against the Philippines? Let's check up on the emblems here for this match.
Okay, taking a look at the emblems, right? They're quite different here. Still, I love that you have the Atlas running the focusing mark for Unigo, because that's going to be huge, especially if you get a multiple Fatal Link setup. The bonus damage across the board, and then you're talking about stacks here, right? Also, take note too, I believe that is Weapon Master for the Sicilian, and then the Rupture. So you got that penetration, you've got Impure Rage. This is interesting, right? I mean, this is why, at least for me, I don't know if I speak for other people out there, but I love the emblems, I love the talent system, because you have these kind of variations happen.
Yeah, you have 2 agility emblems as well for Tier 1 for Canon and Unigo, but on the other hand, we have 3 tenacities present of Cambodia. Some tell me, yeah, this might be their way of sustaining this kind of team fight for Philippines, but if they want to have this kind of safe passage, they might want to go also aggressive, since team fights might happen, since they have the S on their side. This is completely an extended team fights happening over and over again.
Yeah, I love too, the fact that you're really looking for scaling here. Now for Philippines, the fact that you have a Sicilian who is basically the mage version of Aldis, right? You're just stacking at one point. If you don't end the game before it gets too late for Cambodia, then you're dealt with a hero alone that can almost one-shot someone from your team, if not multiple people, right? So then you're really relying on this Novaria as well to kind of help you through the course of this game. Going back to it, if you had a key to victory here, OSX, it's like I said, early game, you got to be able to control it. It's in the hands of Cambodia to do with the lineup they have and their own version of basically an Ube strat here.
Well, speaking of Ube strat, positioning, we have ADM and Super Shima, or Shima here on the turtle. 3 members present. Both teams are ready. Look at that Astral Echo. And
okay. Fatal Link's going to come through, still working on the turtle. They're going to be able to find its ATM. Seisun goes in, still going to be looking for a kill, but the sustain isn't enough. ATM will fall. Now D7 on the hunt. Unigo does fall to Chama. Can he help out his teammate here? Chama, D7 on the run, and not going to be able to find the connection with C-Cat, forcing the rest of the team back here 1-for-1. Turtle secured, though, for Cambodia.
Great way, or great start for their own composition. We're going back here on to Team Philippines. They're still looking on clearing up mostly of the camps of Cambodia. If they're up against the jungle of Shima or Cambodia here, clearing up more or taking out of resources from Cambodia can force them into the lanes to show up or even to aid their gold lane.
Yeah, and with that being said too, I mean, early on, despite everything that kind of happened there, you really don't have much of a difference in terms of economy for now, right? But as the game goes through, you really want to be able to just either extend those team fights in your favor for Cambodia, and if Philippines plays around that, if it's initiating a fight, getting the Blessing of the Moon Goddess and the other healing components out, retreating and then coming back through, using the Fatal Links available to them, they have so many options, right? And that's one of the scary things that Cambodia has to deal with here. But still, at this point in the game, they're checking their box. This is what I was saying for Cambodia. Control that early game, have the best kind of driver's seat in the early game that you can as they kind of clash out here on the top side. Not sure if they're still going to be able to commit to this. Chama showing face, trying to keep them at bay. Unigo, though, does have that Fatal Link, so they don't want to get Fatal Linked into the turret here.
Yeah, still securing the objectives for Saison, taking the orange and the purple as well right in his own camp, and as well as taking out from Cambodia on the mini camps here. So pushing everybody into the second turtle. This is the buff or even the economy that they need to push back, because at this point, look at that, Cannon trying to pull ADM out. So still, Seacat as the ultimate is still being drained out as well.
Okay, well right now, the battle for the second turtle of the game, ATM trying to push them back. Gets already that Phantom Execution, so that's great for them. Still fighting for dominance in space around the turtle. Heal's gonna come through, Cannon taking the brunt of the damage. Holding them back the best he can. Turtle gonna be secured by Seisun though. Surprise, now here comes the clap back. The Fatal Links is gonna fall. They're looking for the kill. Unigo on the run, somehow survives. Not enough follow-up damage just yet. The Abysm Strike gonna miss as well. Tough here to deal with. No kill happening except on the top side. Fury will find one in the solo kill.
Wow. Backline sustain, backline protection. This Estes pick for Cambodia is just showing, and all of the ASL recalls and echoes being thrown out in the lane of Philippines is just right on point, poking everybody out to force team fights over and over again.
Yeah, so this is, again, they're doing exactly what they had to do. And so far, I mean, we didn't get to see that that last kill there from, top lane. Fury was able to get that. So, again, when you have scaling that needs to happen sooner than later, again, this is a great option here because the whole part of this is facing against a Sicilian. And it's just like everybody playing at home when you have an Aldous either in the mid lane, they decide to put him in the mid lane, gold lane, or in the jungle. It's like, all right, guys, game plan, there's one. End the game before he gets too many stacks, right? And so that's something that needs to happen here. Cambodia is on the right track. They're doing the right things. They're going through the right motions in the early game. They just have to be able to hold it together. If that means giving up a couple turtles, if not all three, but they're able to sustain through those team fights, those skirmishes, and hopefully get a couple kills, and put those kills obviously on the right members and get those items that they need, scaling-wise is going to be really good for them. But still, it's almost like a ticking time bomb, right, when you're working against that, because you have to be very careful against Sicilian. At one point, the timer is going to be up on him, and he is just going to blast pretty much your team. So that's something that really has to be said. We are going to get actually a replay of that solo kill here in just a second, too, so you guys can see it alongside us. Again, this is all happening, but top side, look what's happening, too, right? You see them at least on the map going through. Fury does get that kill by himself, and that's why I was saying it's so important. I thought we would get the view there.
The view from up
but
top.
Still, it's a great pick off on the top.
Yeah, talking about starting it quick. So the Brody up against a Claude, draining out the possibility of a complete snowball. Well, they're doing their speed breaks correctly if they're up against the Philippines. But if they're on to the fact that they want to have a secure way of trimming down or slowing Philippines completely, they might want to target the scaling heroes here. So how will they do that? They would need to be, or they need to set up more crumbs for the Philippines to follow. But as we can see here, the side of a team of Philippines are much more disciplined no matter how the trades go by.
Yeah, and at the same time, even with trading kind of between both the teams, you still have a lot of great options. Whether you're trading, whether you're pushing and pulling, and kind of that's how you approach, an Eztez across from you. You just need to be able to get to the point where you can negate some of that heal, especially with the itemization. But I think that's also why it's so crucial that you have Unigo on this Atlas, right? And running the focusing mark even on top of that. Because if you can manage to get the multiple members you're looking for with the Fatal Links, find the setup there, you throw that focusing mark, and then there's a blazing duet at the same time, that might be the answer, to some of that sustain here.
With that kind of setup that Philippines could do, either way, he needs to have more defense that he needs to have, because if you're up against a lineup with an Estes, the back line probably is more secure than ever in sustaining everybody out in those kinds of ambushes, even ganks. So yep, that could be a great way of bouncing back if you are Team Philippines, but it's might as well waiting for the right items to even soak up for that moment once you get that perfect set.
Yeah, right now, cross-map play for both teams here. The focus on Seacat. Saesun should be fine. Just showing himself. Again, third turtle of the game is going to be up in just a second. And that's exactly a preview of what they got to watch out for, right? Just the Sicilian stacks are going to keep happening. We're almost at the 7-minute mark here. So they got the vision. They're able to spot out Unigo. Trying to counterplay around, getting Fatal linked here into the turtle. They got to watch out. There it is. There's the sustain 2. Flicker comes through as well. Still going to be looking. Cannon will fall. Meanwhile, Recutiano was waiting in the mid lane, trying to clear that up the best they can, so they only lose a member. Turtle also goes out here. Now the onslaught in the mid lane, going to force them back here. Cambodia, though, with a little minor lead. Saesun, though, fancy footwork, bobs and weaves, stays alive.
Here comes the defense. Arcangel Recutiano present. Now with the flicker out by the usage of Unigo, Ultimate first, having the safety out of that kind of way of being pinned down by two members of Cambodia, might as well be waiting for the right time to strike. So looking back onto his defense, he still has only steel leg plates. And if we're talking about a good set, he needs more damage to even, more defensive items to even go in the back line of Cambodia. As you can see, Blade of Heptases and Blade of Despair present for Fury. And that's 2-0. For this Brody, so not too far gone for Team Philippines to happen. Again, you've mentioned this is a ticking time bomb lineup for Philippines to pull off, so let's see how this goes.
Well, they got to sort sort them. So, man, you know what? I'll tell you what. It's the names of Team Philippines. I am having a
very
good time.
unique. Yeah.
A very good time pronouncing them.
Pronouncing
It's got me tongue
Recutiano.
twisted. Recutiano.
Yeah.
Saison.
Arcangel, Saison.
I was gonna say Archangel.
Well, that's also a good way of saying that.
You know, I'm all tongue-tied, but yeah, it's the point is yes. OSX, you're correct.
Yeah. All of the members. This is the third day that we're mentioning their last names because back in the first 2 days it was all
first 2 days
their IGNs. So a different way of pronouncing, but it was in a very unique way in the Philippines.
Now you got two pronunciations here happening, you know. But no, jokes aside, the thing about this is, yes, you're correct. You know, for Cambodia, it is a lineup that they really need to be able to end the game quick. And already we're getting previews of that, right? Before we took this short pause once again, we have to kind of take what we're learning from these objective fights and how they're unfolding and how is this adapting, right? Now, it feels like, even for Philippines in a lot of these fights, they're kind of, they don't want to overcommit to them, right? Because they know that they do have to work around the sustain and the heal from the Estes. That's something that's really tough to deal with on top of it. So still, if they can get to a point where they're in a good position to fight, in terms of that, it comes with time in this game, right? It really does, because scaling should be going in the favor of the Philippines as the game goes forward, right? So now Cambodia, once again, still maintaining a very minor lead at this point. It's nearly minuscule, right? It doesn't even matter in terms of gold. But what does matter is the space you have to work with. They at least have that one turret advantage over Philippines. They're still putting pressure here in the bottom side as well.
Yep. Pushing or getting into the difference. Arcangel has now the Lightning Truncheon and the Clock of Destiny. He was ahead by 1 level XP against Seacat. So that is a ticking time bomb that we're trying to mention. And opt for the Quick Mana region as well for the Demon Shoes. They're completing everything. This is just attributes scaling towards the late game. Will Cambodia delay something like this? Because if you're going passively, like you're doing, or if you want to keep on doing that, this is a challenge that they needed to pull through. Either they're so prepared for the late game threat that they have all the damage, they have the defense, well, might as well be in a great par with the Philippines to build up on those kinds of momentum in the late game.
Super important, right, that they are able to handle that. Now, look at this. Cambodia already just given the go signal for the first Lord of the game. Meanwhile, still Saison trying to work in that purple buff. But he gets the news. He's got to be here for the fight. Fatal Link's going to come through, but look at the damage comes through. It is secured by Philippines, but they're going to fall here. Double kill for ATM before he's taken out himself. The flicker comes through from Fury, able to clean up a kill. Cambodia might have lost the Lord here, but they get the 3 kills.
Wow. 3 members down, trying to delay the late game threat of Philippines. Not too far on to the gold lead, 100 difference. Cambodia is eyeing to finish this game early on. But looking at this trade, they have the Lord. Yes, the Philippines has the Lord, but the push they need is the one that they need to worry about.
Okay, well, this is already a huge start, right? Because Fury now having the 3 kills, he made a bit. Oh, we actually get a good replay of this, how it unfolded, right? Now, things went in favor of Philippines, at least objectively, but as that fight unfolded, even the decisive action for Fury to kind of flicker in, clean up that kill, these are all doing wonders for this lineup for Cambodia.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Unigo got a good set. Yes, well, ADM. Recutiano gets killed.
That was quick.
Slowly getting his scores or hit ace up, but going back on the thought on how Unigo managed to get 2. You see how the replay Cambodia sustained that fight, and that was the threat, right? It's a growing threat, but on the other hand, they're growing all the magic burst damage that they need, because if you're up against the setup of Cambodia, you have the Maleficor present for Fury, but if you want to force out something here, you might want to isolate members here of Cambodia.
And even with that, right, that was, again, the first Lord of the game. Philippines, even though they lost 3 bodies, still able to get space around the map. D7, though, getting really close. There's the Fatal Link's going to cut off Jamal. Is the sustain enough? It's not. Archangel able to get a kill using this Sicilian, like we mentioned, scaling into the 12th minute almost. So right now, Cambodia, this is the first time in a while, actually, for the majority of the game, they have fallen to this 2K gold deficit. It's trying to hold on to the tier 1 in the mid. keeping space in their favor, but it's getting increasingly harder to do.
Yep. The window of Philippines is about to show here. 12 minutes, 6-4. Now getting focus on to the jungler still on Shima. Wow. Saison on a 3-level gap ahead.
Yeah.
For Shima here.
Which is crazy, right? Given how kind of the game has unfolded, you know, for the most part. And Saison just, even if he's not able to get all the kills he's looking for, he's still farming up out of his mind. And you can see that. They're holding on to this tier 1 the best they can, which is crucial, because if Cambodia can do that leading into this next Lord, it at least gives them this minor advantage. What they have to keep kind of tabs on is that bottom lane. Look, it's already being pushed, and you can expect Philippines to put pressure there, at least to split up Cambodia. They know if they don't have that numbers advantage, they've got this amazing set potential with Unigo, and they're actually just going to go ahead and give this quick call for the Lord. No response. They're just going to get cut off here. Saison able to secure it. Just like that, Philippines takes the Lord from Cambodia.
Okay, a good macro control here, because if you're talking about gaining control over the lanes by the Philippines, most of the time Cambodia was answering so much onto the kills, all those small things as you mentioned, right? So with all the discipline that the Team Philippines has right now, it's the late game. They're trying to be more patient, more disciplined on how to approach this. The threat right now, yes, it's imminent, but in being lined with the items they're trying to build in right now, it's one way of pushing or having a clap against Cambodia. There's a push coming in from up top. Cambodia needs to have a good defense here.
You know, that's hard though. Like if you look at their lineup, it's actually like their base defense is quite difficult. You know, you don't have a ton of clear potential unless you burn most of your resources, most of your ultimates, even the Abysm strike here. So they're going to lose this turret. Still looking to put the pressure in. Philippines now setting their eyes here to the second turret. Okay, we're going to take another quick little pause here again while these players figure things out. But you know, it's kind of crazy how this is happening. Like in a span of what, maybe 2 minutes. How quickly it's kind of turned in favor. Again, things have shifted. I always say this, you know, that mid-game, really for Philippines, it's mid-game, but this time it's like towards that end game now, where things are shifting in favor of the Philippines, and they're continuously putting pressure where they have to. So now, one thing I will say about Team Philippines is they've mastered the macro maneuvers, you know, in terms of the game, and that's where a lot of the teams. That first box was the early game, OSX. You know, I said that, and Cambodia was doing that. But now it's like, okay, now you're playing against that macro level, the macro games. Can you control? Can you keep them basically together?
That's the answer, and that's the question as well that they needed to have or being addressed upon. Because to look onto the items of what the Team Cambodia has built on, I see 3 items, core items for Fury. He has the Blade of Heptasis, he has the Blade of Despair, also the Malefic Roar, and most of the members of Cambodia is more onto the defensive side. They have the Hunter Strike, they have the Clock of Destiny, they have more sustain, yes, but will they keep on doing that? Because in the side of the Philippines, and going back to our replay, this will show on how are they gaining control in 9 minutes into the map.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, right? A moment where it looked like it'd be pretty good. Fury goes and flickers in, gets the kill there. And this is where, you know, before the 10-minute mark, things were going relatively well. ATM's going to go down here, and that's where things kind of start to basically fall apart, you know, for Cambodia. In that early team fight, in the objectives, or even that first Lord, it was looking pretty good, even with the lineup, once again, the Estes. So as this game progresses, OSX, my question is, yes, has the answer been presented to the healing lineup, to that sustained lineup? And it's Philippines that have kind of dealt with this, right? And what I'm seeing a lot of, and how they're kind of burning through some of that sustain, some of that heal. Of course, they have the items. You know, there's some early dominance ice and whatnot. But still, is it the focusing mark paired with the fact that you have a scaling mage like Sicilian to the point where, you know, later in the game, you don't have to worry so much about that healing? Is that what you think is falling into place, or is it something else?
Could be, yeah, because the focusing mark really adds a lot.
Well, it's like, I think it's 6%, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it might be a small difference, but in team fights, yes, it could even matter. Because if you look at the defensive items on how Philippines is building through, I see more of the offensive items present in 3 members right here in the later stage of the game.
Yeah.
You're talking about the end game for these two teams can make. So if we're able to compare it now, it's leaning towards with Philippines having more of the advantage on having that sustain. Yes, the problem is Atlas being in the deeper side of the backline of Team Cambodia. But at this point, maybe he can out-sustain because he has the immortality. He has also the Dominance Eyes present. In a way, this could be a game changer if they have a good setup once again for Cambodia. We're seeing a lot of possibilities here with this pause. But let's see how this goes with Cambodia because we're expecting more of a damage to show. But will it make it still through for Cambodia to do it?
Yeah, and again, I think even the part that, focusing Mark and the interaction with Sicilian and whatnot, even with healing from Estes, we saw that earlier, where they just grabbed Chama and they fatal linked him basically into the team and away from Estes. Estes was trying to be there, heal him up, but unfortunately, by that time, again, at this point of the game, the scaling is so good for Team Philippines that they're able to burn someone down even with the heal. So, that's, I guess, the weak point, specifically with Estes, and we're going to have to find out if it is similar for the other heroes as well. Like I said, Florin popping up, Angela. I feel like Angela right now is one of the stronger options out there, and in terms of shield sustainability and just durability overall for your team through those methods, So you got to be able to find the answers here, and it seems like, at least for now, Philippines has done a relatively good job at handling that, right? So it's great that you have sustainability. Fury is having a relatively good game, right? You need to allow him to just kind of pop off in a lot of these team fights. And if that means ATM has to kind of sacrifice himself a little bit to get, the Abysm strike off, some of the penetration as well, then that could be one of the best plays that Cambodia can make. But what can't happen is for them to continue to give up Lords, right? At least not uncontested.
Not now, yeah.
At least not uncontested.
And it's 15 minutes, and if you want that, as you've mentioned, looking at back on the items here, we have the Holy Crystal present for CCAT. You would really want to have that pair of the Impure Rage as well if you are a Novaria. At the later stage of the game, this is where the Vaya shines as well.
Yeah.
So we're looking for two answers now from CCAT and Fury to be paired up, but that's a good question that you're putting on the table here. Who will be the sacrifice? Who will be the front line of Cambodia in the defense of Philippines it has now? And with this kind of almost 5.5k gold lead, they would really want to contest an objective, or will they still keep doing the defense that they've been doing for the past minutes?
Yeah, again, you don't want to see them just not contest the Lord if it is taken, because you saw how fast the previous one was taken from Team Philippines, right? Okay, that was I believe that was taken, yes it was, by CCAT.
By
so
CCAT, secured.
I guess that's a glimmer of hope, right? In terms of your defense here and lining up for this next Lord take, you at least have a purple buff. You should be able to give the vision and everything else some poke as well to your team. Holy Crystal being picked up here by Archangel is already huge in terms of the stack, and now this additional magic damage.
Wow.
Look at that though, right? CCAT is a threat, also just picked up a massive item in the Divine Glaive. So they're in a good position to actually contest this. We'll see if they can pull through. Cannon, wow, will take a lot of damage. Unico, though, has to go back to base. Again, CCAT is a component to this as they force themselves into position for the Lord here. Going to be worked on. Archangel throwing out those bat wings here. Lord now less than 1/4. Cannon trying to get in position. Here comes Saison. He's going to go for the retry battle. Goes in, takes it.
Rectiano up top.
From the hands and in the top side. It's going to be pushed in by Rectiano, and it's just like that. All eyes on the Lord, but the push into the base, something we haven't seen too much this tournament. But of course, it's Team Philippines that does it.
They forgot the base, and there was a wave pushing through, and they were much more focused in getting that objective. The first split push in IESF has been committed by Team Philippines, gaining their 2-0 up against Cambodia.
Coach Ducky's looking, he's like, yeah, that's...
I know that face, like, yeah, we had that so many times back at home, now we do it in a different team.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Right, they're feeling pretty good too, because that was the game plan. Take the heat off the top lane and just make them come for us. And it's it's funny too because a lot of that probably was just called on the go because CCAT was he got the purple, he was popping off, landing, shot after shot after shot, whittling down members of the Philippines. And then, so they're like, all right, well, we're going to be in a position, yeah, we don't have Unico here to help with the Fatal Link. So he's going to go back to base. They're going to feel like they're in the presence to take this Lord. So why not just go for the backdoor maneuver?
Talking about diverting.
Diverting. Yes, one of your key phrases there.
Yeah.
Diversion.
Diversion, name of the game. And they know. They know the possible threat of Navaria. We all know.
Yeah.
Two.
It was getting to that point.
Fury, have the Brody, have the Navaria. Wait, what a big way. That's salute onto Shima.
Yep.
Respecting what happened in game number 2. Philippines 2-0. Team Seaball getting the advantage that they need, and they're pushing through in the bracket.
Oh, man, that's great. So, Philippines in a sweep, heading up against Mongolia. I cannot wait for that matchup. But it's also a little bittersweet because then, again, you saw the salute from Chama there. He does not get his opportunity with this team to go against Mongolia, right? To have that redemption. They will go down and fight and battle it out with Kazakhstan. So it's going to be quite the matches. Again, that won't be live streamed, right? This was the last one for the live stream here today anyway. But we'll have to wait for those results later on as they play offline. So I don't know. It was a great series. I'm kind of, the way that I feel about it is like this second game, Cambodia had things together,
We discussed so much.
Yeah, for the early game, I was like, all right, guys, good job, boxes checked, right? But unfortunately for them, it's always that mid to late game. They have just mastered this, the macro level, right? And that's always so the way that I look at it, and the reason why I say early game is, basically one phase or one step at a time here. We're going to look at pretty much the recap, the replay from that matchup too. Again, this was a better game for Cambodia overall against, this massive team from the Philippines. And it looked good a lot of the times, right? I mean, even because of this lineup, they know that Philippines has to scale into it, right? That's kind of expected, especially with the Sicilian here. But even so, again, having the Atlas now debuted, at least here for us, on the live stream, it's great to see it interact with a lot of these other heroes in these lineups.
Yeah, and looking back on the replay, 7 minutes in, this was the game of Cambodia, sustaining everything, and no matter what the Philippines throw up against them, damage. This is purely the Brody's way of funneling all the damage, all of the items, all the KDAs. But the problem of Cambodia is this is the window. This is the window that they have the way to step on their own accelerator, and they have the gas to push through. This was the thing that they've lost. And going back on how they wanted to bring it, this was the moment.
They got the call. WEC23.
Nobody knew.
Just go.
Nobody knew.
Just go. We've got him. We've got him under control. Camera came up, a couple shots away, and they take the sweep. Right. That's just again a lot of the things that Cambodia did in that game. I do want to say that it made sense. It was improvement from game 1. Right. And really, yeah, it was better overall. Just unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on that. And if, for example, there wasn't that backdoor potential, that play there, then they would have won that Lord. They would have actually taken that fight and probably marched into at least, base territory of the Philippines. But it was a quick call based on that situation that happened with CCAT just first getting the purple and then chunking the members down. So thinking on the fly there, and they adapted really quickly. But hopefully for Cambodia, they can take everything they learned from this series and, hopefully help them in their next matchup with Kazakhstan.
Well, now, since we have, again, double eliminations, the hope still is there for teams who's in the lower bracket. Now, let's break down a bit what happened to game number 2 with our post-game stats right on the board here. And as we continue to see the possibility to have a way for Cambodia to bounce back, well, this is one way of looking at those boxes to be checked in the next time they meet the future teams here in the lower bracket.
Yeah, again, looking at this, it was 7-5. Cambodia had a couple more kills here. Even damage department, they were doing relatively well, but then just at one point, Philippines figured things out and knew how to win it. I'm really curious too if the game continued to go on, how that would have, ended, because I don't know if still we have a definite answer on how to deal with this Estes or the healing and just that throughput basically through these heroes that are built on the sustain kind of meta that is happening here. I do like the fact that Atlas seems to be an option. Sicilian popping up too is a nice kind of mix in the mid lane. Like I said, you know, it's great that we have variability happening in the mid lane. And it's not just Eve Farsa. And, you know, Novaria does pop up, but it's great too that she has a flexibility, can be put in the roam. But this time, like I said, the game was much better for Cambodia. It's just they weren't able to capitalize, and Philippines found a weakness, and they went that way.
Yeah, they're not even far behind on the orange and the purple buff. And as you can see how Sikat is building through his damages, he has a Divine Gift, he has the Holy Crystal, Lightning Truncheon. No matter how the late game can go, his Astral Echoes and also the Astral Recall hurt a lot. And you see how they peeled 2-3 members out of Philippines to push back while the Lord is being spawned in that game. So a lot of possibilities, a lot of things has been discussed. Me and Naisu.
Yes, us.
Here.
We.
Yeah, we. It was scratch out.
Yeah.
Forget the fact, we forgot the thing that, split push up top. Make them go bananas.
Again, because it's not something you typically, I would say, see a lot of teams do, right? Because, yes, the split push is always a viability, but it's something that you don't necessarily think of right away until you're at a certain point in the game.
Even us haven't not talked about it.
Not only that, but again, going against a team like the Philippines, like you really want to be able to go basically stand your own and fight them in a team fight. And that seemed like what Cambodia wanted to do. Again, you have this advantage. We whittled down multiple members of Philippines with CCAT alone. We should be able to assert ourselves within this Lord Pit and take it, right? But we forgot that there's a push happening as well, you know, and yes, we don't see the Claude anywhere. So that's always something that happens. And again, it's kind of, a lot of, at least for us observing, it's easier to be like, there goes, there goes the hero into the side lane, top lane, bottom lane. But essentially with the way the Lord dances go, even how they like to hide in the bottom bush, go for conceal plays or surprise pushes, that's always something you have to keep an eye on, that you can't watch the heroes all the time. But we are going to be taking a look at the brackets as well. Again, updated here after the first 2 series of the day. And there it is. Right, first match, again, it was Mongolia. They 2-1 Kazakhstan, sending Kazakhstan down to the bottom of bracket there. They will play Cambodia now. Cambodia after getting swept by the Philippines.
Still, the only sole team in IESF, Philippines remains undefeated.
Wow.
In the semifinals. So lower bracket, Kazakhstan and Cambodia will now meet and still has a possible way to go through their underdog story here.
Man, that match, both are great, but finally to see Mongolia and the Philippines go head-to-head here at IESF, right? The Asian Championships, that's going to be an exciting match. And this
was the hype.
I mean, it was already hype coming into today. Day number 3, first day of the playoffs. Finally getting to see Mongolia play, and against a team such as Kazakhstan, who has, I feel like, just improved so much. And at least even for us, even as casters or even as viewers, not knowing too much about Kazakhstan and seeing them even back in day 1 again have that reverse sweep, and then here play against the dark horse of the tournament, give them their first defeat.
Yeah.
That's still great too. The other thing too is the fact that all these teams, remember, guys, that they have all already secured one of their spots to Romania, right? Because the 5 teams 5 out of the 8 will be going to Romania for the World Championships.
Looks like the teams today had a great start. 2-0, yes, but having that first scratch against Mongolia, what a great way to boost your morale continuing through the lower bracket. So we might see a little bit of fixer-upper from the teams who fell down onto the lower bracket. Once again, that was one of the matches we did today. I am OSX. This is Naisu. We will throw it back onto the stage with Wajay and Bar together with the Philippines for their winning interview.
حياكم الله جميعا ورجعنا لكم من جديد بعد ما شفنا المباراة الأخيرة. حاب أقول شكرا لأخونا المعلقين على حماسهم في المباراة الأخيرة، وشفنا انتصار منتخب فلبين، فازوا بنتيجة 2-0 ضد كامبوديا. وحابين نسأل اللاعب PHI كانون عن شعوره بعد ما فاز في المباراة الأخيرة.
بالضبط يا وجيه. Of course, again, big shout out goes to our amazing casters for firing it up. through the entire match. You guys are amazing. And now we are here with PHI Cannon Man. How do you feel? Another match pretty much being won by the Philippines.
I feel very happy because we won.
Simply done. Because Philippines won. The crowd is going wild right here. وجيه.
دامنا شفنا يا براء انهم فازوا في المباراة الماضية، حاب اسالهم بخصوص منتخب كمبوديا، ترى منتخب ابدا ما هو سهل، فكيف قدروا يفوزون عليهم نتيجة 2-0؟ هل استخدموا استراتيجية خاصة ضد منتخب كمبوديا او انهم تقريبا نقدر نقول انهم استخدموا استراتيجية عشوائية وفازوا؟
بالضبط. خلينا نسأل السؤال دي. So before even going with the match and all that, we had a talk with Ducky, right? And he said, well, you know what? Cambodia is a team that we need to pretty much be careful with. So how did you do it?
We just did our A game, but we still gave respect for them.
Respect A game and go ahead with that. ايش رايك وجيه؟
انا بسأل سؤال اخير الى الان ما انتهينا. طالما انهم فازوا في هذا المنافسه وسمعنا اجابته، بتكون مباراتهم الجايه ضد منتخب منغوليا بسبب ان منغوليا فاز، وايضا اليوم فازوا منتخب فلبين، فكيف بتكون تجهيزاتهم يا اخوي براء بخصوص المباراه الجايه؟
So okay, now to the next match, right? And we're gonna go against Mongolia. So are you ready for that? Any surprises, under your sleeves right there?
For myself, I am very confident against facing them, and I will do my very best to defeat them.
Words of a warrior. If you notice, we heard confidence in every interview. So pretty much that's our key phrase and key word for this championship. Confidence. ولا ايش رايك يا وجيه؟
اكيد ما في احد الحين ما بقى لهم الا كم مباراه على انهم ياخذون المركز الاول، ولكن ما ندري هل بياخذونها ولا لا، ولكن اكيد لازم يكونوا واثقين من انفسهم، فبنشوف في المباراه الجايه ايش ممكن يصير لهم ضد منغوليا.
Inshallah. And it's been pretty much a tradition right now. If you want to say anything back to hometown, to your family and fans and brothers and sisters.
Thank you sa mga sumusuporta sa aming lahat, sa mga fans natin dyan, sa mga kababayan. Gagalingan pa namin, kukunin namin yung championship dito sa Riyadh.
Well, salamat po, that's for sure. I love it. The community is amazing over here. وجيه أي كلمة أخيرة من صوبك.
أنا الصراحة أتمنى لهم كامل التوفيق، ولازم نحاول نراقب كيف بتكون استراتيجياتهم وتخطيطاتهم للمباراة الجاية، لأنها بتكون مباريات حماسية في نصف النهائي، وبعدها بنشوف من اللي يقدر يتوجه للنهائي الكبير.
Inshallah. Well, again, congratulations to the Philippines taking place right here at the Asian Championship. And now we're going to have a little break, and we'll be back with more taking place right here at the Gamers 8 IESF Asian Championship. We'll see you after the break.